So we'll just get started because it's a great day to be inside
Yeah,
doing virtual training. If we would have known, we would have done on-field training today. But
no kidding.
my name is Jeremy Sullivan. I'm WILOA Youth Officials Training Coordinator. I think that's my. Oh, I'm a vice president. I'm vice president.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew that. The second most important job in WILOA, which is the Wisconsin Lacrosse Officials Association, and I'm also a Badgerland official. Myself, Randy Cohen. Randy, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm the president of WILOA. I am a on-field official at many levels. Um, Jeremy and I have been doing this youth training. I'm not even sure how long it's been. It
6 years?
it's been a while.
Yeah. Good grief.
Um, and so I'm just happy that we're going to have, new people and people who are getting refreshed and going on that. Just for people who are just new to lacrosse as a whole as officiate officials. You are invited to attend the high school training too. You don't have to, you're just invited to. The only reason is you're going to hear more uh, kind of, more mechanical talk, if you will, than you will in the youth training here. The youth training will have you completely prepared to be an official, but you just can pick up some more things. If you attend the high school training, you're not required. They will be recorded just as this one is, and next Sunday too. Um, and I'm looking forward to having new people coming in, behind us.
Awesome. Thanks, Randy. Don, are you on as well?
Yes.
Great. So Don is do you want to introduce yourself, Don?
Sure. Don Rohr. I'm out of Milwaukee area. I'm the Willowa treasurer. So I'll be the one hounding you guys for your dues. And then I think this is my 12th year of officiating, and like Randy, I officiate at many different levels also.
Thanks, Don. Matt, are you on, Matt Bach?
I am here,
Do you
if you
want to
can hear
introduce
me.
yourself? Yeah.
Sure.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Matt?
Yep. So Matthew Bach, I am the WILOA Communications Director. Like Randy and Don, I also officiate at multiple levels. So here to kind of help facilitate some of the training and the on-field stuff, so everybody feels comfortable and prepared for this spring season.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matt. Let me see. Is there anybody else I'm missing, Randy? Is Mara on?
Uh, I don't know. I did not see Mara.
Okay. Okay, super. So, can people see my screen I'm sharing, or are we just looking at
Yep.
the speaker screen? Oh, fantastic. Okay, so it looks like one of the things, everyone, first off, thank you for deciding to officiate lacrosse. It does not take experience playing lacrosse, coaching lacrosse, to be a great official. It really just takes your desire to be a official and to put in some work, and that work includes off the field and on the field work. One of the most important for the youth officials on who are getting trained this year, and maybe your second year, is you're put in a position, hopefully after all the trainings, to be confident in what you're supposed to be doing. But it takes a number of years to become a very good lacrosse official. And even if it's your second or third or fourth year, the goal is to always get better, right? To always, always, always get better and keep working. Okay. And these sessions, the reason why we have youth officials take multiple classroom sessions over a number of years is because you cannot just walk on a field and officiate lacrosse every spring. Okay. This game is too fast, and it's the stakes are higher than in other sports because it's a contact sport. So you have to have that confidence and the practicum to actually officiate this game. And again, it's about putting the work in during training. It's about paying attention and listening to these sessions. I mean, you have some, you have some superstar officials with Randy, Don, Matt, and guys who've been doing this a very long time, like Mike Finnegan, who will be you're a partner in the Badgerland area in Bennett West, who have a wealth of experience, meaning they're old. And
Yeah.
what the best part about it is, no matter I'll do a game with Mike, you know, we'll learn stuff from each other, right? And if you have the opportunity to work with Matt, Randy, Don, Mara, any of the higher, officials in the state who do multiple levels, officiate multiple levels of lacrosse, be receptive to the feedback. That's the only way you get better. Okay. And it doesn't matter how old you are, experience is experience. Like everybody has different experiences. And sometimes your perception as a player is not the perception you can have a lot of times as an official. So you have to develop the ability for those of you who play to see the game in a different way. You can't put yourself or personify the official's position. Okay. You have to be able to lean on your training and officiate as an official. Don't officiate as a player. Don't officiate as a coach. Okay. And that's part of what this training does. And a lot of people wear a lot of different hats, i.e., there's a lot of coaches who officiate, there's a lot of players who officiate. And some of the best high school officials are kids, high school aged officials who do youth lacrosse are the kids who, they don't have to be the best player, but they love the game, they love studying the game, and they're very willing to take feedback. So that's one of the most important things we as trainers want you to take from these sessions is we're going to set you on the path, but that path every week you should be working to get better at this craft. Randy, you got anything else?
No, I think you nailed it perfectly there. I'm still learning from guys who have got more experience in higher level games than I have. I mean, you should always be able to pick up something new any game you ever do, whether it's a youth game or a college game. There's always something. It the, our District Six governor for college lacrosse, Tim Kelly, always used to say, "You'll never call a perfect game because the day you call a perfect game is the day you have to retire because then you're just mailing it in from there." Um, and so, and I've always used that as my backdrop. It's like, yeah, even though you did a good job, when you go back and look at your film, and if you ever want to throw up, just watch yourself on film. You're like, ooh, I remember that play. Not really where I should have been. So I'm just saying, you can always get better.
Yeah, great. And for those of you who don't know, Randy has been doing this a very long time. Not to mean he's old, but he's also old. Um, so I mean, he's really the governor of lacrosse in the state of Wisconsin. He's involved in lacrosse in every, from the north to the south to the east to the west, right? He's concentrated in Milwaukee, but he really is the conduit to USA Lacrosse for the state of Wisconsin. So when you hear Randy say something, that's not coming from like um, a place other than trying to help you get better. So please, if you have the opportunity, work with Randy on the field, work with Matt, work with Don. Um, it's the only way you get better is working with the best. Okay, so please make sure this is also a good time to take a quick segue into before we talk about the assigners about for those of you who are high school aged youth lacrosse officials. It's really important to understand that, and we'll talk about this later, but I want to get this out of the way now, that once you become an official and you're officiating a game, you're an official. You're not a player. You're not an advocate for your high school team. You're not an advocate for your college team. You're an advocate for a fair and safe officiating. Okay. And that can be hard to do, but you have to understand, like, you might have played a team and they were chippy with you when you were a youth. And now you think like, oh, I gotta step on I gotta throw more flags against this team. You can't do that because officiating is the third team on the field. And it's a corny slogan, but it's 100% true. Okay. You and your partner are a team. You have to back each other up. And part of that kind of covenant as being a team is that we as officials only get game assignments once we're certified from our regional assigners. Our regional assigners. And the 3 assigners we have in the state are Matt Bach in the Madison area. This is his email here, Badgerland Youth Assigner. Very straightforward email. In the Milwaukee area, Randy, Downset Lax at Gmail. And in the Bay Valley, Mara St. John. And Mara's email is here. Assigners will give you games. We will go through the process next week of the scheduling software called Arbiter. Arbiter. Okay. But your assigners are the ones you will get games from. They're the ones who are going to give you feedback on your officiating. They're the ones who will decide really what games you get. And not to speak for the assigners, but if you say you're available for a game and you decide on a Friday before a Saturday or Sunday game to cancel your assignment, that's not going to get you more games in the future. If you don't do a good job and we hear about it, assigners will, talk about how to improve your officiating. If you're working hard and you still miss a couple calls, that's not going to preclude you from getting games. Okay. That's just going to mean like you're going to have a conversation with your assigner. So what does this mean? You have to have a relationship with your assigner. You have to pick up the phone if they call you, and you have to know their email. And to that end, after we do the introductions in a second, I want everybody to send a quick email to your regional assigner after we do introductions. Okay. You have to make sure that you can begin that dialogue of communicating. And for you high school age officials, you're going to be talking to adult coaches on the field. Your assigners are pretty much all adults, at least in age. You're going to have to make sure that you're comfortable on a field, speaking confidently and loud, blowing a whistle, and essentially being the one responsible for being partly responsible for safe play in the field. Okay. I have not seen a kid in 12 years, I think, of assigning that could not be an official. Okay. It's just going to take a little growth. Okay. Randy, I don't think we've ever not had an official, a youth age official who couldn't carry a game, right?
Yeah, they've always carried it, and sometimes, after that first season, they just they found out it wasn't for them, and it wasn't because they were not a good official. It was because they couldn't, and and this is what you guys will run into. They just didn't like the sidelines. I'll leave it like that.
Yeah, and compared to other sports, like in the Madison and Milwaukee area, we're about at 85% retention for youth aged
Mm-hmm.
officials who do for high school aged youth officials, which is insane compared to like other sports like soccer and hockey. And part of that is we do request that officials be sophomore age and standing. Having a freshman officiate 14U lacrosse, being 1 year removed from playing 14U lacrosse, is not a winning strategy for lacrosse officiating. So that's why one of the stipulations is certainly in the Madison area to be a sophomore aged student. So I think at this point, Randy, let's have everyone introduce themselves and check on their ability to speak.
Yes.
clearly and get an idea of where you're from, and we'll let you know who your assigner is. So on my screen, I have Parker Hunt. So, all right, Randy, do you mind running it? My screen's all bogged down with stuff. Can you ask the kids to go, or do you want me to do
Sure,
it?
I can have them go.
Thanks.
I'll see the way I am. It's me and then you. I got Mike Finnegan next.
Hey guys, yeah, Mike Finnegan, been official 10 plus years now here in the Madison area. Looking forward to another season.
Thanks, Mike. Great to have you back.
And then we got the great Don Rohr, who's already introduced himself.
I can add more if you want, Randy.
Go right ahead.
No, I've got nothing.
Okay. All right. Then
Thanks,
I've
Don.
got Matt Bach.
If you want, I can add more.
Thanks, Matt.
And then I've got Chris Jar, who I know this is his third year officiating.
Yep. Yep. Obviously, my mic works, as you guys heard my conversation earlier. Yeah, sorry about that. Yep. Milwaukee area. This will be my third year officiating youth lacrosse. Been involved with quite a while, though.
Great. Thanks for coming back, Chris.
And then I've got Kyle Crozier. I hope I didn't butcher your last name too much.
Hi, my name is Cal Crozier. This is my first year just start officiating. I'm in 8th grade, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then all I have is Nolan.
Oh, hey, Kyle, where are you? Where area are you from?
From the Milwaukee area.
Okay, so you're with Randy then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All I've got is Nolan on the screen. So
Nolan, you there? Nolan. Okay, we'll have to come back to just Nolan.
No.
oh, there,
Oh,
now we
yeah.
can-
All right, sorry. My name is Nolan. I'm in the Milwaukee area, and this is my first year reffing.
Awesome, Nolan. You're with Randy then. Okay.
Perfect.
So make sure you send Randy that email.
Nolan, what's your last name?
Fehrenbacher.
Thank you.
And then I've got Zach or Jacques. I've never known. I know this is not your first year, but I've never known how to pronounce your last name.
Hi, my name's Zach. This is my first year technically because my first year was COVID. But I'm in the Madison area, so
Okay.
Zach, what area in Madison are you from?
east side.
Great. So Zach, you're gonna reach out to Matt Bach as your assigner. His contact information's on the screen there.
Sounds good.
All right. Next person I have is Nick. I highly doubt it's D1 Nick, but
Yeah, my name is Nick Garvey. I'm from the Milwaukee area, and this would be my first year.
Great, Nick. So you're with Randy too, okay? Send him an email.
Yeah, got it.
And then next one I have is Tom Stoll. This is not his first year, I know that.
Yeah, my name is Tommy Stoll. This is my third year reffing, and I'm in the Milwaukee area.
Great. Thanks, Tom.
And then I've got Gabe Weisensell.
Hi, my name's Gabe Weisensell. I'm from Verona, and it is my second year reffing.
Great,
Welcome
Gabe. You're
back.
with Matt. Send him an email, please.
All right, then I have Milo.
Yeah, Milo's mic is not working. He said something in the chat.
Okay. What do we got here?
Is Milo with
Is
you,
that Kevin
Gabe?
Moraine?
and
Okay.
Rosa?
Yep, he's at
Okay,
Cam, so he'd be with me.
Great. Great. It's with you.
Okay. Next one is Justin Sawicki.
Hi, my name's Justin. I'm from Wanakee area, and this will be my first year reffing.
Well, your brother's kind of set a standard for you, so you're going to have to,
Yeah.
live up to that.
I'll be better.
Okay. Well, that's what we
there
want
we
to hear.
go. I love it. The brotherly competition. Justin, send Matt an email, okay? So he's got your contact information.
All right.
Karsten Schmitz. I know this is not his first year either.
Yeah, I'm Karsten. I'm from the Milwaukee area, and this is my fourth year reffing.
Okay. Jonah, I know this isn't your first year either.
Yeah, my name is Jonah. I'm in the Milwaukee area, and this is my second year reffing.
Great. Shoot Randy. Randy's got your email.
Yep.
Should be set.
Now, next one is Kyle K.
Oh yeah, my name is Kyle Kohler. I am from the Bay Valley area, and this is my second year reffing.
Okay.
Great, Kyle. So you're gonna send Mara an email at mara@7tapsconsulting.com.
Alrighty, sounds good.
All right. And then I've got Zoom user. I don't know who that is.
Zoom user. I guess it's all of us.
It doesn't say Zoom loser, but it just says Zoom user.
I guess we could just move on.
Yeah. Yeah, say whoever doesn't get called, you're the Zoom user.
Yeah.
So next one is Ryan Vollenberg.
Yeah, hi guys. Ryan Vollenberg. I'm from the DeForest area. This will be my first year reffing.
Great, Ryan. So you're going to be with Matt Bach. Shoot him an email, please, by next week. Okay.
All right. Next one is G Keys or G Keys.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Griffin Kiesler, and this is my first year reffing, and I am in Milwaukee right now.
Okay.
Great. So shoot Randy an email there, Griffin.
Next one is Evan, I would say Mazur.
Hi, I'm Evan Mazer. I'm from the Middleton area, and this is my first year reffing.
Great, Evan. You're going to shoot Matt Bach an email, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Next one I have is Jake Brooks.
I'm Jake. I'm from Middleton, and it's my second year reffing.
Awesome.
Same thing, Jake. You're going to send Matt an email, please.
Okay.
Next one I have is Braden Jar, and I know this isn't his first year.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Braden. I'm from the Milwaukee area, and this is my third year reffing.
And yes, him and Chris are related. And I've got Cooper Blodgett. I know this isn't your first year either.
Hi, my name's Cooper. I'm from the Madison area, and this is my second year.
Great, Cooper. Shoot Matt an email.
And Braxton McQuiggan. Yeah. Braxton?
He's in the chat.
Yeah, he's in chat. Mike doesn't work.
Got it. All right.
Okay.
Well, Lynn Ryder, you're up.
Ryder Blodgett. I'm from Verona, and this is my first year reffing.
Great, Ryder. Shoot Matt Bach an email, please.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Will Dama?
Yeah, I'm Will Dama. I'm from Wanakee, and this will be my first year.
Great.
Welcome aboard.
Shoot Matt an email, Will.
Aiden, I'll let you pronounce your last name.
Yeah, hi, I'm Aiden Visti. I'm from the Middleton area, and this will be my first year reffing.
Great, Aiden. Shoot Matt Bach an email, please.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, let's see what else. Chris, we already did. Connor, we already did. Andy Strensky.
Hey, I'm Andy. I'm in the Green Bay area. I officiated high school for 4 years back in 2010 to 2014. So I think the last person who trained me was Sid Flanders, but moved back up here a few years back and getting back involved in coaching. So I'm getting recertified here to kind of help out the Bay Valley if they're in a pinch on numbers for officials.
Oh, awesome, Andy. Thank you.
Welcome back.
So you'll reach out, Andy, to Mara St. John.
Yeah, I've been in communication already to get on your guys' list.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Next
you.
one. All of a sudden it's bouncing around. I think we already did Connor. Well, let's see. Connor Keesgan?
Yeah, I'm Connor Keesgan. This is my first year refing. I'm from Calmaran.
Okay. Seems to be a pattern of Middleton and Kettle Moraine players. I wonder where all the other schools are hiding out. Anderson and Wanakee and Verona. Anderson C.
Hello, I'm Anderson C. I'm from the Middleton area, and this is going to be my second year refing.
Perfect.
Great to have you back, Anderson. Reach out to Matt, please.
Yeah.
Will do.
Is your coach, just for you Middleton guys, is your coach leaning heavy on you guys to be officials?
We get volunteer hours if we do the training, but
Okay.
he also says, yeah, he expects us to at least try it.
Cool.
All right, well, good. Grayson Schmidt, I know this isn't your first year.
Yeah, I'm Grayson. It's my second year ref. I'm from the Milwaukee area.
Thank you. Declan.
I'm Declan Zabo. I'm in the Milwaukee area. This is my first year reffing.
Welcome aboard. Mara.
Yeah. Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm the Big LA Signer. I've been an official for, I don't know, 18 years. And looking forward to working with everyone this year.
Okay. Will Aiden, Mr. Christian. I think that's all I have.
Fantastic.
So whoever was a Zoom user, if you weren't called, please tell us who you are.
I think it was me. I'm Quinn Gaffney from the Wanakee area, and it's my
Okay.
first year.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
Quinn, you're going to reach out to Matt.
All right.
After the training. And part of the reason we're doing this also is because to get credit for these sessions, since they are recorded.
I wasn't called on, but
Tyler.
yeah. My name is Tyler Kirkeisen. I'm from the Milwaukee area, and this is gonna be my first year reffing.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Anybody else not been called?
Tyler, are you related to Parker Kekheisen?
Distantly.
Oh, okay.
I'm Maddox Walters, and I wasn't called on, but I'm from Sun Prairie, and this is my first year.
Great, Maddox. You're with Matt Bach then. Great. Anybody else? Fantastic. So by the end of this session, you will email your assigner with the code word of today's training session, indicating that you attended the session in its entirety. So Randy or I will tell you what the code word is, and then you will email that to your assigner to get credit for today's session. Does everyone understand? Fantastic. Okay. So a couple other things. Here's, again, just reiterating what I just said, the code phrase given at the end of each training session. Everyone on this Zoom, you will do that at by the end of the day today. Okay. So just to go over again, pathway to certification for boys youth lacrosse officiating. Okay. Number 1, register with USA Lacrosse. Register with USA Lacrosse. Now here's the complicated parts for you high school aged boys youth lacrosse officials. Okay. You are all already members of USA Lacrosse, most likely through your parents' USA Lacrosse account. So as youth players, and I believe, Randy, we still require all high school players to be USA Lacrosse members, right?
We don't, because the WIA.
Oh, that's right. WIA, yeah.
Took over as their player part. But if they want to officiate youth lacrosse, they have to be a member of USA Lacrosse.
Right. So you have to have a active USA Lacrosse membership to officiate lacrosse. Now, here is the most important part. You have to have a unique email from your parents if they set up the USA Lacrosse account. We don't this is very important because your scheduling software that gives you games, that we use to give you games, should have an individual email for you that links to your USA Lacrosse account. So it's absolutely important that this week, every single official gets their USA Lacrosse account situated. So, couple things. If your parents have a USA Lacrosse active account, if they're coaches for youth lacrosse, for example, they will have their own unique USA Lacrosse account. Okay? Have your parents call USA Lacrosse to get you added as a USA Lacrosse member and a member as an official, not just a player. You have to have a USA Lacrosse account as an official. It doesn't cost any more money to add an official designation to your USA Lacrosse account as a player. Okay, but you have to be listed as an official with USA Lacrosse in good standing to be able to access the training materials and the USA Lacrosse exam. Okay, you absolutely have to do that. This is the week to do that. Okay, because next week we're going to start talking about the assigning software and some USA Lacrosse online stuff that you have to do. You need to have an active USA Lacrosse account designated as an official to officiate lacrosse. Okay. Very important.
And Jeremy said something that's even more important out of that. You literally have to call them because you can't do it online.
The USA Lacrosse online experience is a work in progress.
Yes.
A very big work in progress. The most efficient way to get changes to your account to add official designation is to actually call them on the phone. Don't use their online chat. Call them on the phone. Have your parents call them on a phone. Okay. And you have to get registered as an official with your own unique email address. Your own unique email address. Because all of the communications are going to be going to that unique email address. And all the tests from USA Lacrosse, when you log in, will be with that unique email address. We have to make sure to make sure that you've passed all the tests, that your email is associated with you. Okay. And Blodgets, I know there's a couple of you running around who are officiating. Your parents have to have individual accounts for each of you as well, individual designations as officials. Because what that does is it gives you a unique USA Lacrosse number, each member of the family, and a unique email. And that's what we need to do to check on certification that you fulfilled all the requirements before you can officiate. So homework, get your USA Lacrosse membership straightened out. Email your assigner the code phrase from the first training session. Okay. And then next week, when we meet again, we will go over some of the USA Lacrosse online requirements, but we don't want to do that until everybody's had a chance to actually get their own membership straightened away and can walk through it on their own with us on their computers. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? USA Lacrosse membership, pretty straightforward. If your parents are coaches or officials, just have them call and add you. Unique email address, phone number, USA Lacrosse number. Okay.
And the reason why Jeremy is stressing this is because that is your insurance for if you get injured or if something happens in a game that you are officiating, that mom and dad Sue Happy want to bring litigation. All of that is covered in your USA Lacrosse membership. It's the cheapest form of insurance you're ever going to have. So let's say you get injured while you're doing a game, which does happen. I mean, many guys that have blown out a knee in the middle of a game, player and official. It helps cover some of the expenses uh, for that in your rehab and getting, back up to being able to get on a field. So, and it's also your liability insurance. So, in the world today where everybody can sue everything for anything, it's a great protection to have.
Yeah, and it's required. So
Mhm.
that's the biggest part is that getting a game from a USA Lacrosse, from an assigner as a USA Lacrosse official is allows you to be covered.
Mhm.
It's very, very important. And a lot of times for those of you who want to do the summer circuit in those tournaments, that's really the tournament dependent. So you have to deal with the individual assigner for that tournament. But in the state of Wisconsin, your assigners and us requiring you to be USA Lacrosse officials, which should be the way every state does it, gives
Mhm.
you that assurance that what happens during the game, you will not be liable.
Mhm.
Okay. Very,
Yeah,
very important.
it's a good point, Jeremy. In fact, most tournaments have now gone to that USA Lacrosse requirement of having, that membership and insurance because they're getting heat from their own, private insurance, that they're for their own events. Do you have certified officials on your field? So,
Yeah, and I mean, just some 2 cents. If there's a tournament that doesn't require certification, USA Lacrosse certified officials, I'd be a little bit weary of it.
yep.
To be honest with you.
I would personally, I would say, hey, have a great time.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. Don't die. Yes. So register with USA Lacrosse. That's the only way you're going to get certified is to take those tests and review the professional development and the rules course online. Okay. Also, you're obviously here for this first session on the 15th. Next week, we also meet from 11:30 to 3:30. And very, very, very important, please check dates for already existing commitments. And if you don't have anything on April 12th, you got to block that date off because April 12th in the Madison area and April 12th, right in the Milwaukee area, Randy,
Yep.
are going to be your opportunity to do on field training. And I cannot stress this enough. The reason why we moved up these classroom trainings to February 15th and 22nd instead of dates that went into March last year is because by the 1st of April, you have to have all of your requirements done, all of your USA Lacrosse requirements. Your uniform you have to have your uniform. We'll talk about that in a minute by April 1st, because come April 12th, your field training officials, me and Madison and Randy in Milwaukee, we are expecting you to pass field certification, and probably that night you will start to receive game assignments because most likely the season will start the 18th of April. So if you miss field training, it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for you to officiate. Now, if you already have something, a pre-existing game or meeting or something, you're going to have to find a workaround and you have to communicate that to your assigner, like right now. Okay. These are just the dates we have in Madison and Milwaukee. We're not sure what the Bay Valley training date will look like. Right, Randy?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless Mara knows or if they've nailed anything down.
Number store dates. Never come.
I'm sorry. What was it?
You're miles away from your mic, Mara.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
We're working on on-field training dates for the Bay Valley. Updates to follow.
Updates to follow. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
So we'll have dates for Bay Valley field training to follow, and those will be communicated through that Arbiter email, right?
Mhm.
Arbiter Sports email. So very, very, very important. You do have homework before next week, right? You're going to email your assigner with the code phrase. You're going to get your USA Lacrosse account set up, and you're going to make sure Sunday, April 12th in the Madison and Milwaukee area is open for field training. That field training typically goes all day. So don't plan to have something at 2:30, have something at 3. You got to typically plan to be there from 8 to 4. Okay? And for those of you who is your first year, this is the best opportunity to sponge up as much information as you can, because we will go over face-offs, goalie privileges, and officiating around the goal crease, which is never easy. And then you get a bunch of games where you're actually on the field blowing your whistle, because the most difficult thing for new officials to do, believe it or not, is to blow their whistle when appropriate, right? They'll see something, they'll see a ball go out of bounds, like, yeah, ball out of bounds. Here, we're gonna, restart going blue, but they never blow their whistle. So the play still, everyone's waiting for them to blow their whistle. It's not as it's one of the things which you see which seems so intuitive, so natural to do, but at the same time, you gotta get that experience. And for second and third year high school age officials, um, the way you get better is to keep doing that muscle memory, get on the field, remember the hand signals, remember the mechanics, all that good stuff, right? Randy, you have anything to add?
No, I mean, blowing the whistle, for new people and that, probably think Jeremy's joking. I mean, going, just tweet is not blowing the whistle. Blow it like you're trying to, spit it across the field, so everybody knows that you blew your whistle. And it takes a while, a little bit, to be comfortable in it. But yeah, it's, you know, the Jameson's rule number one: look and sound like you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk about that. There's a USA Lacrosse whole segment about professionalism, right? And we'll talk about what we as officials and assigners in the state also expect of you as well. And then there is a WILOA training dues fee. High school and college students 25. Adults, Randy, can you remind me what the adult fee is?
I think it's 50 this year, right?
Yes, 50 for adults.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something you're responsible to pay. That covers your arbiter uses. That covers all the other stuff that goes into getting you certified from the state's perspective. Okay. And if you have any questions about that, you can have your parents reach out to me about that. Great. So for those of you who don't already have a uniform, you do not have to go out of your way and buy every single thing that Smitty's or Ref Shop or Ref Stop says you need. To officiate at the youth level, which is the only thing we're training you for in this class, a 1-inch collared striped official shirt, again, collar, and a pocket, a chest pocket. Okay. Any black shorts will do, preferably belted shorts. But for you first year officials, just have black shorts with pockets. Black shorts with pockets, no logos. Okay, no logos of teams. If it has like a Nike swoosh or Under Armour, whatever, but no team logos. Okay. Any shoes is fine. You do not have to buy all black shoes. Ideally, if you're in like your third year and you're thinking about doing tournaments and other things, invest in a predominantly black pair of shoes, turf shoes or cleats. I mean, most people over the age of 35 don't wear cleats because our ankles are all screwed up. So whatever shoes are fine. You just need one yellow penalty flag, 2 are preferred, 1 coin for flipping, ideally a $50 size coin. And just to reiterate, no team names or logos on any officiating equipment. To Randy's point about like looking the part, looking the part is also instills confidence in the players that you're going to be officiating the game of, the coaches, and the spectators, that you are, serious about officiating and you're going to do a good job before you even start the game. As you walk on the field, we'll talk about this in more detail later, you have to have the professionalism, shirts tucked in, no hats other than an official's hat, which we'll talk about in a second here. You have a bag, you're not disheveled looking, like you just, you know, rolled out of bed and just, got dropped off at the field wearing flip flops and stuff. That's not what we're doing. If you show professionalism, then the expectation is you should receive professionalism back, right? And when you start making calls in games, especially for most of you at the 14U level and some 12U levels, which as officials we're trained to do, but to a common fan who's maybe seen one or two lacrosse games, doesn't know the rules, it might look like a wrong call or a call that wasn't made properly. Your ability to convey professionalism goes a long way in kind of maintaining decorum or maintaining a environment conducive to not having coaches, players, and fans losing their religion about, a missed call or a potential bad call. Handle yourself, the game will follow. Okay. And that's what being professional is. Don't wear like a Wanakee hat to a Verona Middleton game, and then have Wanakee shorts or Middleton shorts, even worse. If you're a Middleton kid officiating a Middleton Wanakee game, don't come to the field with Middleton gear on or wear Middleton shorts while you officiate. That's a huge problem. Okay, we don't want to do that. Our whole point as officials is to provide a safe and fair environment for kids to play lacrosse. Okay, so safe environment and a fair environment should be implicit in all of us by just representing the third team on the field, the Stripes, right? Properly dressed, tucked in shirts, hat. If you have a hat, it's only a black hat with white piping, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay. That kind of confidence or professionalism gives fans, players, and coaches confidence in your ability to call a game. You're already on track to having a great game if you can do that.
Yep, and don't wear your hat backwards to the field. Yeah, that just says, okay, I'm just here, and I'm not really quite prepared to do your game.
Yeah.
You got to look the part, and if one of you forget a hat or don't bring a hat, then neither of you should be wearing a hat. You always want to match.
Yeah.
If somebody forgets a hat, and they're my partner, I'm not going to be happy with them. But I'll go without a hat because I don't want to look like I'm wearing a hat and you're not. Just to get back to the shirt, I can't tell you. Every year there's going to be some clown who's going to show up either with a basketball shirt or a 2-inch shirt. 1-inch stripe, collared, so there's a collar, if you guys know what a collar is, and there's going to be a pocket on it on the front. That's the shirts you need, because in that pocket is where your scorecard is going to go. Showing up with a non-collared basketball shirt tells me you can't even follow simple rules to become an official. So how can Matt, myself, or Mara, or anybody else who's done it for a long time trust you to have the game down tight as an official?
Yeah, that's a great point. That essentially you wearing a basketball or wrestling officiating shirt tells us you didn't order your stuff or, get your equipment in enough time. Your game was Saturday morning and you made your parents run around to Dick's Sporting Goods to buy you the only officiating shirt, which is always basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that tells us.
And I think Don put the link. Don worked with that one company and put the link in there. basic starter package. Don worked on this a couple of years ago. There's a perfect starter package for everybody in there.
Yes.
And if you're only going to buy one shirt, you can buy a short sleeve shirt. And it's cold that day, just wear a long black undershirt, long sleeve. You don't really need just I never get too crazy on whether one guy has a long black sleeve and one doesn't. Just if one guy's wearing a short sleeve shirt, the other guy should be wearing a short sleeve shirt. If one guy's, and vice versa, like I said, you should be matching. But in Wisconsin, we only get like one Saturday and Sunday where it's really nice, where the short sleeve shirt comes into play. If you just want to wear a long sleeve black shirt or a t-shirt underneath it, go ahead, but confirm it with your partner. Here's another big thing. I know Jeremy's going to get into it. Confirm with your partner, what are we wearing today? But don't do that at 8:30 in the morning when you got a 9 o'clock start. Do it the day before.
Yeah, exactly. That part of professionalism goes to communication, right? Communication with your partner, communication with your assigners, communication with coaches, communication with players, and ideally not communication with parents, because we want you to not engage parents, except in very rare circumstances where you have to talk to the coach about parent. But yeah, Rainey's 100% right. Sunglasses are fine. Just be, just use your best judgment. Like, don't if you think something is probably not appropriate to wear, it's not appropriate to wear. Okay. Stick to what we have listed here. One ounce collared shirt, any black shorts, all black shorts, any shoes for youth officials. Fox 40 whistle is the standard by which you have to get a whistle. You cannot buy like the cheapest whistle at Walmart and expect it to be able to carry in an outside environment. It won't. Okay.
Yep.
Fox 40 whistles are designed to handle weather. They're designed to be loud and, perfect whistle for outside sports.
Right. And as Jeremy's saying, just get the standard Fox 40. You don't want the Sonic version of it, because it'll come Sonic, Supposedly it's even louder, but you just need a standard Fox 40 whistle. And I can tell exactly, and Jeremy can, and Don can, and everybody who's been officiating a long time, I can tell exactly what kind of whistle you have the first time you blow it. And I can tell you which one's the Fox 40 and which one's not.
Yeah. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Very, very obvious. If you have any questions about, like, as Randy said, Don worked hard to get like a starter set. The link is in the chat. It's also on the WILOA website for new officials. If that's not working for you, there are other places like Epic Sports where you can sometimes get like deals on flags and shirts and stuff, but you got to make sure it's a 1-inch collared striped official shirt. The hat is not required for youth officials, but it's really, from my perspective, an important piece of equipment in the summer or in the spring and summer. That hat has to be black with the white piping 1/8 inch. Okay. And Randy, the football piped hats are the same as lacrosse, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're having trouble finding the lacrosse specific officiating stuff, the football hat's fine. Some football shirts are fine, but they have to be 1-inch collared striped. Okay. Again, if you have any questions about your uniform, please reach out to your signers. Reach out to me. We'll lead you in the right direction. But you're expected to have your uniform by April 1st. By April 1st. All right. Because come April 12th, man, you're going to be in that uniform using the training that we're providing you now and officiating lacrosse games for kids. Okay. So really important. Let's see. Oh, that's it. Okay, great. So that should be it for this session. So now we're gonna transition to um, the first USA lacrosse training uh, module, which is rule of the game, field, equipment, personnel, and time for 2026. Okay, so this begins part of our officials training. Okay, really important that we're paying attention and we're following along with this. It's also really important that you know these sessions are recorded. And if you have questions, especially when you have to take the test, it's good just to go back and rewatch these. You're always welcome to hit Randy, Matt, myself, Don, Mara up about questions you have. Okay. But it's also really, really, really important that you understand that these are resources available to you at all times. Okay. So let me see if I can share my screen here for the.
I was just looking at the website that Don built with All Sports. The only logo you can have on let's say you guys are going to wear jackets that day, would be the WILOA logo or the NILOA if you're a college official. But it can't be your school logo or anything else. So don't panic if somebody shows up, with a WILOA or NILOA on their pocket or on their jacket. That's okay, guys. What it is, and Jeremy was really good about it. You just can't show up in your school colors, doing a game, because you're losing some street cred right out of the chute. And you might call the best game you're ever going to call, but you just don't want to put that pressure on you and your partner because somebody dressed in colors of the contestants that are there.
Yeah, and to Randy's point, the whole point is like this is a job, right? But it's a fun job, right? I mean, you can take things seriously, you can be a very good official, but the point is, if you should also have fun out there, man. You're outside, all of you have some interest in lacrosse, either from a player, coach, parent perspective. You like the game, it's fun, right? And you should enjoy yourself. And frankly, you get paid a lot more than officiating other sports. So that's why the expectations for training, professionalism are maybe higher than what you are expected to do when you're, strolling over to a soccer game 5 minutes before the game. First thing out of your mouth is asking for money, right? Or any other sport. Like you're getting paid a lot more per game than officials from other sports. And the expectation is you're going to earn it. Okay. So Randy, you can see full screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So there is some audio to this. If the audio isn't playing, just let me know. All right. Oh.
We supposed to be hearing something, Jeremy?
Oh, you're not hearing anything?
No.
All right, hold on. 1 second, guys.
Do I get a passing grade for paying attention?
No, you do not.
At least we know you didn't just put it on mute and walk away.
Busted. Let me see why isn't this output going through? Let's see whether okay, let me try this real quick.
And for you high school players who are now becoming officials, you're gonna through this training, both the youth and high school, if you choose to go through it too, you're gonna learn what I always call the magician secrets. What are we looking at as officials? So either A, you can cheat better, or you can tell your teammates how not to do things to get rung up with a flag. So hey Don, that website looks great. I mean, I haven't been there for a couple of years. Did you guys add stuff to that?
The all sports one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've added a few things throughout the time. And then since we got added, they've added another like dozen associations from around the country too. So
So we were leading the way.
that's right.
Jeremy, you might actually have to share audio directly through Zoom.
Uh, how would I do that? Oh, here we go. Let's see.
Yeah, actually, yeah, through the real tech should do it.
Let's see if this works. All right. Input.
Everybody prepare to have your ears blasted.
Anything?
No.
No? It's killing me. It's super loud. So let me see.
When you share your screen with Zoom, there should be another option to share audio as well.
Okay. All right, let me check to see the Zoom settings. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. Let's see. Video. Huh. It says that it is shared, right? Default microphone. Yeah. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine and Andy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If this doesn't work, then I'll just narrate, which is awesome. All right. Let's try this again.
I see. I'm just while you're getting that going there. I see we've had some more people join. If you are in the Madison area, you will send an email to Matt Bach. What was it? Badgerland.
Badgerland Youth Assigner.
There we go.
Gmail.
At gmail.com. If you're in the Milwaukee area, you'll send one to me. It'll be downsetlax@gmail. And if you're in the Bay Valley area, you're going to send one to uh, Mara. You want to say? I don't have it in front of me here exactly what it all is.
Yeah, it's Mara at 7tapsconsulting.com. 7, the number, taps, TAPS, consulting.com.
Congratulations on taking the first step to becoming a lacrosse.
There we go. I hear noise.
Normally, we would be in a classroom setting, and you would be introduced to your instructor, and you would learn a little bit about your classmates. For this virtual training, we're going to move on to the next section.
Jeremy, can you make it louder?
In this course, or to gain an understanding of the basics of a lacrosse game. We want you to know the minimum requirements for teams and players to participate in the game safely, and to learn your responsibilities of an official for facilitating a game. Let's start with Rule 1, the game field and equipment. Lacrosse is played by 2 teams of 10 players, which includes a legally equipped goalkeeper. Goals are 6 foot by 6 foot in a standard lacrosse game. Balls are normally white, but can also be yellow, orange, or green, as long as they meet the NOCSI standard and have the stamp on the ball. A standard lacrosse field is 110 yards long by 53 1/3 to 60 yards. Some schools will use a unified field. The purpose of a unified field is to minimize the additional lines needed. So it's 120 yards long, which is the same length as a standard soccer or football field. The stick, or cross as it's referred to in the rule book, is used to play the game of lacrosse. There are short crosses and there are long crosses. A short cross must be between 40 and 42 inches long, and a long cross must be between 52 and 72 inches long. The width of the head of the stick can be no smaller than 6 inches at its widest point, and all shooting strings must be within 4 inches from the top of the head. If a ball stop is used, you may only use one, and all sticks must have an end cap designed for lacrosse. All players have certain amount of required equipment. For field players, they must have a helmet that is NOCSI approved, a mouth guard that is not clear or white, protective gloves designed for lacrosse, shoulder pads designed for lacrosse that meet the NOCSI ND 200 standard, and arm pads designed for lacrosse that are worn in the proper way. All players must also wear a protective cup or pelvic protector, and that's covered during the coach's certification. Goalies also have some specialized equipment that they have to wear. Just like field players, they have to wear a helmet and gloves, shoes, and a pelvic or athletic protector. But they also must wear throat protection and a chest protector that meets the NOCSI ND 200 standards. All players must wear a mouth guard at all times. There have been some recent changes to equipment over the last several years that may be different from what you were used to if you played the game growing up. First, it is now required that a protective cup or pelvic protector be worn, and the chest protector requirements also add protection for comio cordis. Uniforms during the spring season must always cover the shoulder pads. Many times in the off season, you will see players that will wear tank tops, which might be acceptable for off-season games, but during the spring, all jerseys should cover the shoulder pads. And if a team is wearing sweatpants, they must be one solid color. Generally, the goalie may wear sweatpants, which that determines the color that must be worn by the entire team. No tinted visors may be used, and that's so the player's eyes can be seen in any emergency situation. There have been some recent changes to uniforms. All home jerseys must be white. No more light colored, they must be white. And number restrictions must be from 0 to 99. There is no more use of 00. Now, some equipment is prohibited and allowed. Okay? Prohibited equipment includes football helmets, football pants, and electronic devices on the field. But what is allowed are religious medals and safety alert bracelets. Now, there are several members of game personnel that are on the field. Officials, timekeeper, scorekeeper, players, team captains, the in-home, the coaches, and potentially a sideline manager. Game officials must be a minimum of 2. That's a referee and an umpire, and that is very common for youth games. For most high school games, it is recommended to have 3 officials, a referee, an umpire, and a field judge that are all equally ranked on the field. All right, the referee does have final say in all disputes. The timekeepers can be a combination of volunteers, paid staff, or a variety of different options depending on the level of game. There could be an electronic scoreboard, there could be a manual scoreboard, but in all cases, there must be a working horn at the table. The scorekeeper should also be at the table and should have some sort of visible scoring device if possible. Many schools will have a visible scoreboard. Many youth games will have a small visible scoreboard, such as the flip chart you see here in this picture. And everyone should have some sort of score book or sheets of paper to write down the roster and the other important pieces of information that come up during a game. If a visible scoreboard is not available, the scorekeepers should make regular updates to each coach so they're aware of the game situation. Players typically fall into 4 different categories on the field. It's your defense, your goalie, your attack, and your midfield. Defensemen typically play with long sticks. Goalies typically play with the wider goalie stick. And attackmen and midfielders typically play with the shorter sticks. On a standard game, there's 1 goalie, 3 defensemen, 3 midfielders, and 3 attackmen. Games will also have specialists, such as face-off, which is a FOGO, face-off, get-off. That's a player that only faces off. And an LSM, which is a long stick midfielder. And this is a defenseman that plays up in the midfield position. Each team has coaches. One person has to be designated as the head coach that will certify to the officials that all of his players are properly and legally equipped. They are responsible for everybody on their team, including their fans, and they must act in a courteous manner towards the officials and their opponents during the game. Other coaches can ask questions if asked respectfully. The in-home is the starting attackman in the book, and he usually is listed first, and he must be in the pregame lineup. The in-home takes any bench penalties or whenever the penalized player cannot be determined. Each team designates a captain who serves as a team representative on the field. Only one captain is speaking if there are co-captains. They may be replaced during the game, and there is no right to argue with or criticize an official. An official may designate an acting captain if no captain is available. Ball retrievers are not required, but if they are used, they must wear a helmet and a contrasting uniform. They are not permitted directly behind the goal and should stand at the corners of the field until the ball is at the other end. During a standard NFHS high school varsity game, there are 4 12-minute stop time quarters. JV games can vary from location to location, and youth games can vary by league. There are 2-minute breaks in between each quarter and a 10-minute halftime break, but this can be negotiated down to a shorter halftime break if both coaches agree. During the last 2 minutes of each game, the stall rules are in effect for the team that is leading if they are leading by 4 or fewer goals. Stopping the clock. On an out-of-bounds play, you start with one long whistle blast. Your hand goes up in the air for the dead ball. You point in the direction of play, and your hand goes back in the air until you are ready to restart play. For an inbounds or unusual play, several short blasts are generally used to get everyone's attention. To tweet, to tweet, to tweet, otherwise known as a cicada whistle. Your hand is in the air for the dead ball. You explain the call. You point the direction that you're going to go, and then put your hand back in the air until you're ready to restart. Starting the clock begins where stopping the clock left off. Your hand is in the air, the whistle is in your mouth and ready to go. You have a solid whistle blast for a 2 count. You're going to wind your arm starting in the top position, 1 full revolution and then a half revolution, with your hand finishing at the side. There should be no half winds. Signaling a timeout. During a dead ball, any on-field player or head coach may call a timeout. During a live ball, an on-field player or head coach with possession may call timeout. You're going to give several short blasts using the to-tweet cicada whistle again. You're going to put your hand up to indicate that the clock should stop. You're going to have both hands up and you're going to crisscross them over your head and ultimately pointing with 1 or 2 hands to the team that called the timeout. At this point, you should start your timer, which will go off in 1 minute and 40 seconds, which lets you know that each team has 20 seconds to take the field. Each team gets 2 timeouts per half. The 2 minutes of the timeout include the 20-second warning. If the team that called timeout is ready to go early, opponents are given 20 seconds to return to the field. Coaches must remain in the coaches area during the timeout. Officials may also need to call timeouts at various parts of the game. This could be for weather conditions, during dead balls, loss of player equipment, including the goalie, an injured player, or excessive blood, open wound, or blood on the uniform. If an injury occurs on the field, stop play, call the trainer, and report any unconscious or major injuries to your assigning authority. Remember, do not rush an injured player off the field. If possible, wait until a team has possession before blowing the play dead. If an offensive team is advancing to the goal and the injured player is not in the immediate area, let play continue to its natural conclusion. If the ball is loose, you could use alternate possession to award possession, but if it's loose in the crease, you can award the ball to the defense. Teams may go to the sideline, and substitutions may be made during an injury timeout. Officials should restart play as soon as the injured player has been safely removed from the field. Mercy rule. This occurs only in the second half if there's at least a 12-goal difference. Once the score reaches 12 goals or more, It is a running clock. This continues through the end of the game, and it starts on the next whistle after the 12th goal was scored. The clock does not stop if the differential becomes less than 12 goals. Penalty is not time and a half, okay? They are still the same time, but they are now running time. If the score is tied at the end of regulation, we go to overtime. Overtime are 4-minute periods, and you have to call one captain from each team for a captain's meeting prior to the start of the overtime. The visitor calls the coin toss for choice of goal only, and first goal wins. This is sudden victory, golden goal. One timeout per overtime period per team. Alternate possession stays the same, and teams will switch end after each overtime period. Interruption of play. Appendix E of the rulebook will tell you the details of lightning or thunder. The rules typically require 30 minutes after the last flash. In most situations, the conference, league, or association will have particular rules. In most high school games, this will be handled by the game administrator or the trainer on duty. After the interruption of play, periods can be reduced if both teams agree and a game administrator is there as well.
Okay. So, can everyone hear me okay again? Yeah. Randy, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, there's a couple important caveats to that video. That video is training for NFHS. USA Lacrosse does not have a lot of youth-specific training segments, so some of the things that you heard on that video, most notably things like number of players, length of game, injury to players, some of the 3 officials at a game, those are high school specific comments that the trainer was talking about. So we're clear. At 10U lacrosse, which is the youngest age group in Madison that you'll officiate. Okay, 10U lacrosse. There should only be 7 players on the field because it's a smaller field. It's usually played widthwise from a normal lacrosse field. Okay, and we'll go over all this stuff at field training, and we'll touch on this a bit next week as well. But there are age-specific rules in youth lacrosse that we'll go into greater detail with. And we talk about personal fouls and technical fouls coming up and the adjudication of personal and technical fouls. You'll realize that at the youth level, you have to officiate at the level of lacrosse you're at. So 10U, for example, there's no body checking. There's body contact, there's boxing out. There's regular defensive contact, but it can't be body checking. Again, it's nuanced. We'll talk about it in greater detail, and at field training, you'll really get a sense of it. But the gradations of youth lacrosse, if there's an injury at 10U, do not, and it's around the ball, stop play. Don't try to officiate a 10U lacrosse game like you do a high school lacrosse game or even a 14U lacrosse game. That can't happen, okay? Because player safety and fairness are our 2 priorities. Player safety for a 9 and 10-year-old is going to look different than it is for a 14 and 12U player. So you have to officiate the age-specific rules at that specific age level, okay? So, for example, 10U is going to be 2 defensemen, 2 attack, and typically 2 midfielders, one who takes a face-off, one on the other side, and a goalie. That's 7v7. 7 players from one team, 7 on the other. If teams try to do 8x8, which would be 3 midfielders to attack, 2 defenders, and a goalie, that's really pushing the limits of a small field, because the whole point of youth lacrosse, especially at 10U, is to get kids interested in playing lacrosse, develop skills that hopefully they'll want to keep playing. And part of developing skills is essentially having the space. Okay, space to pass, to shoot, to scoop. And when you have too many people on a modified field, you're going to have 5 people, 5 offensive players on a modified field, a smaller field, and there's just no room for anyone. And you'll start to see that when teams request to play 8-on-8. So in Badgerland, the rule is 7v7, but I know a lot of clubs with a ton of players on each roster want to do 8x8 because it's easier for them. But Randy, do you have any insight into Milwaukee, please?
We do 7v7. Occasionally they'll ask for 8v8. As long as the coaches agree, like if I'll do, that World Championship U10 game, I'll say, well, we'll start with 8v8, but if it really becomes just nothing more than just a cluster, we're going back to 7v7.
Yeah.
And then I took a couple notes from the whole thing here, Jeremy, if you allow me the time to talk about it.
Please.
Injury is right at the U10 guys. Number one, they're all weevils and they all fall down, and every kid looks like he just got shot. And so I mean, you're gonna know there's gonna be a kid down and he's really not hurt. So you might pass on that one. But if it's in the middle of a play, you want to stop it and stop it, and make sure that the player is safe. When you get back to the bigger field, if there's an injured player or hurt player, which I always ask them, are you injured or are you hurt? And the play is going away from them, you don't stop play because you don't want to take the advantage away from the team that's coming up with the ball. But you should at least hang out with that player back there on that back end of the field to make sure that, because every parent's going to be telling you that there's somebody down behind you. So if you just stay there, you can look into the field and see, there's an injured, what's going on, and you're still by the injured player, so people don't lose their minds. And they will. Don't worry, but they will. And it's you just hold your ground and you do your job, right? In the video there, they had, and this is one that is going to haunt us forever and a day, elbow pads. Players have to have elbow pads, and they have to actually wear them on their elbows. It's kind of a crazy rule. Now, goalies do not have to wear elbow pads. So be prepared when you're on that field that all field players have to have elbow pads on their elbows, because they'll just, they'll throw them on. They'll be on the forearm. You'll see them up on their tricep or something. They got to be on the elbow. That's just the way it is. And goalies they're not required to do it, but I kind of suggested. Here's one that.
Randy, one other thing about goalies is, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead,
my friend, but in certain associations, depending on who you are, they can wear baseball catchers, shin protectors. Yep. But as the video said, to Randy's point, they have to have lacrosse helmet that's NOCSI approved. They have to have a lacrosse goalie chest protector. They have to have gloves, and protective groin equipment. They are allowed to wear, depending on where you officiate, 10U lacrosse goalies are allowed to wear more equipment, but it has to be, you have to talk to your assigner. It can't just be hockey breezers and, X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
The core equipment requirement for goalies has to be lacrosse goalie equipment, and then add on from there.
Yep. And here's one that's going to be hard, and because you're going to have to be the heavy on this one. Tinted visors. If a kid comes out because mom and dad says, "Oh, geez, let's get our son a tinted visor." You see a tinted visor, that player has to leave the field until that visor comes off. That's it. There's no exceptions whatsoever because the rule is for the officials to be able to see the eyes of a player in the event that they go down. And what we are supposed to do. Are we calling for a trainer? Are we calling for a coach? Are we pausing play? What it is. So regardless of what they tell you, if it's a tinted visor, they're not wearing it on the field that you're going to officiate. And you can see it almost instantaneously because you see the spectrum when their face kind of goes across and the sun goes across their face there, and all of a sudden you see the spectrum there. And so you got to make sure that they can't be on the field when that's going on. My next one was the timekeepers and the table personnel. In youth, you will find that's always two moms that want to help you out, but they're paying more attention to what play dates they're going to do for their younger kids than the game in and of itself. So you need to make sure that you make eye contact with them when you're reporting a penalty or calling timeout or asking a question or whatnot. So it's just a little added thing that you get to do as an official. And then the last one there on the interruption of play. I didn't really care for the way they talked about that one. And I'll say this is why is before a contest starts, it is the home field manager that is responsible whether or not that game is going to start. Once the game starts, it is on you as the official. Can we go further? Oh, there's lightning, there's thunder, there's whatever. It's a 30-minute pause, period. And if you get another one in 10 minutes from there, guess what? That 30 minutes starts all over again. So you are actually responsible for the safety of all the players once bad weather starts. And you have to be prepared. And if the coach says, oh, no, it looks okay, it looks like it passed us by, don't let them talk you into starting early. Say, hey, coach, rule is it's 30 seconds from last, lightning strike or thunder clap. That's how we do it. Yes, I know you'd want to get out of there too, because I mean, no one wants to stand in the rain or, through a marshy field, but you want to make sure that you're protecting your partner, and everybody else by rule on when that game can restart.
And to Randy's point, if a coach is pressuring you to start a game in that 30-minute window, you got to let your assigner know. Okay, after the game, let your assigner know. But the decisions that you make, and it's really important you know this, the decisions that you make on a game get backed up by your assigner. So if you make a mistake in a call, in adjudicating a call, right? Like, let's say you don't start, there's a time serving penalty, you start it in the offended team's defensive zone instead of their offensive half of the field. That's a call, like a missed call that our assigner will work with you with, right? But your assigners are the ones who are going to be fielding these comments. And the first thing out of their mouth is going to be to the coach or who's ever complaining, what does the film say? Do you have any film of the game? Because the signers are your advocates, but they're also the ones who are going to help you get better and tell you when you're wrong and tell you when you need work. They're not going to say that to the coach's face. That's a part of the relationship between the signers and you as official, is that we back you up, or signers back you up, assigners take the heat, but assigners also one-on-one try to get you to be better and try to tell you when you're make a mistake, or when you're, in need of like just a little bit more finesse as an official. And every single official in the history of time needs feedback from their assigner, right? And needs feedback from trainers and needs feedback from experienced officials, because that's how you get better and that's how you grow. And you have to be receptive to that. But if you're on the field and a coach is like, come on, man, like it's sunny, it's only been 10 minutes, but still, like, the clouds have passed. I have an app on my phone that says This is the one I love getting all the time. I have an app on my phone that says the storm's like 7 miles away. And I'm like, I don't care about your stupid app, your weather app, because everybody knows weather apps are always accurate. Number one. Number two, it's a rule. If you have a problem with it, talk to my assigner. Okay. On the field, if there's an issue and if you call a game and you make a call and people are getting you to change that call, you don't change the call. You say, this is what I see, because your first instincts are usually right. This is what my call is. This is the call that's staying. If you have any questions, please contact my assigner. Right. And even if it's the wrong call, right, you'll get better because you won't make that call wrong again. But also, you can't be swayed by coaches and parents and certainly players into changing a call or making a different call.
Yeah. I mean, I see a fair amount of college officials on this call, which is great. How many of you guys have ever changed a call? I mean, I know I haven't. It's right or wrong, as Jeremy said. It may not have been the right call, but you know what? I'm not changing it. If I threw a flag, somebody's going in the box, unless my partners can convince me that I saw it wrong. And don't be afraid to pick up a flag. If you think you saw something and your partner said, "Oh no, it happened like this," you pick it up. You go to the coaches. My angle wasn't as good as I thought it was. My partner had a better angle, and there's no flag. We're moving on and go from there. Don, Matt, Mara, anybody. Because you are, as Jeremy said earlier, we are the third team, and we have to act as a team. So we can't have one person doing this and one person doing that.
Yeah, and Randy brings up a really good point. Oh, sorry, Randy.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Randy also brings up a really good point, in which we'll talk about with calling penalties, and how we handle game management, which is, you should never be making a penalty call that is not conferred or not communicated or not certainly not communicated with your officiating partner. Like, you guys are a team. And when we talk about reporting penalties in a little bit, sometimes you're throwing a flag, you're communicating that call to the other official. The other official might be communicating it to the bench, to the book. During that period, you should be also very efficiently and not taking too much time saying like, yeah, I got a slash on 51. Great. Okay. Saw that too. Perfect. But there are times when you're going to have to confer with your officiating partner, especially around the goalie crease. Especially around the goalie creases, when we see this a lot, where if somebody, the trail official who's going to be farther away from the goal crease versus the lead official, they're going to have an area that they're watching. The lead official is going to be watching an area right by the goal. And sometimes some calls are going to have to get changed around that time, because people stepping on the crease, an offensive player stepping on the crease line, stops the play, right? So your communication and both of you knowing where you should be looking is really our goal at the end of your field training, to make sure you're confident to know where you should be, number one, where you should be primarily watching, number two, and 3, 4, and 5, blowing your whistle when there's a dead ball. That's the game, friends. That's it. Knowing the rules, knowing where to be, knowing when to blow the whistle, knowing what to look for. That's officiating.
Yep. Okay. Well, as Jeremy said, gentlemen, I can tell you this right now. We get paid to only get two things correct: the face-off and any type of crease play.
Yep.
All the rest of the stuff the players determine, and we throw flags or do whatever we're going to do. But and Jeremy alluded to this earlier. you can never be too good around the crease. I watch videos on that every season just to make sure, because so much stuff happens. You have to be prepared to, okay, this happened in this sequence and this is how we're going to go. I mean, if you ever want street cred with college coaches, or actually high school coaches in general, know your crease calls.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And this next session, this next training module we'll go through is professionalism and game management. Then we're going to go to personal fouls and technical fouls. We'll probably take a break after professional and game management. But you're starting to see, where to be a good official, you're taking the first steps, you first, second, and third year officials. You're taking those first steps, you're getting that muscle memory, you're getting the experience of games. But I'll tell you, the games that I remember officiating most are the games that either I've made a mistake, potentially missed a call, or wasn't necessarily as hard on a coach's behavior as I should have been. Those are the games that resonate with me. Like some of the last minute, victory games, certainly at the youth level, it's fun, but those games never resonate as much as the games that, was a hard lesson to learn as an official. And every single one of you have hard lessons to learn as officials. Right. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. But when I was an adult when I started officiating lacrosse. I was in my 20s. And I had played for a long time, and I had coached for a long time, and started officiating. And like sometimes I would let coaches' behavior go a little bit farther than I should have. And I was like, I'm an adult, like they're just venting. But when you do that, especially as an adult official, you then set a precedent for that behavior to high school aged officials. And that's where I failed as an early official, right? Not seeing that the behavior of coaches has to be consistent, and it has to be consistently moderated by us as officials. Because otherwise, if we let something go as adult officials who do youth, then that gives those coaches the ability, or essentially the permission to them to treat other youth officials in that way. And that's not something officials at any level should expect to be treated poorly, right? Or at least not have their coach's behavior properly penalized and enforced when it's out of bounds. Randy, you have anything to talk about that?
No, that's perfect. I mean, it is, but you're also right though too, because as an adult, when I'm dealing with an adult youth coach, I give them a little bit of latitude, probably more than I ever should. Because guys, remember, your coaches and your players are emotionally involved in the outcome of the game. You are not. So I usually let the first thing kind of like go through. Okay. And I'm like, are you done? Can we move on? And then let them tell you whether or not they're going. Basically, you're giving them the opportunity to get flagged. You're saying, are we done? Oh, if you're gonna keep living in that last play, coach, guess what? We're not, because flag down and we're going forward. So
that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to ding a guy. Don't be quick draw McGraw where somebody says something and I think he's insulting me. Well, you plan on you're going to get insulted throughout the whole game. So by somebody somewhere at some time. But pick your spot, set the line, and then just go forward. And if you do in the Milwaukee area, and actually this happens for we ask this of everybody in the state. If you're going to flag a coach for conduct, even in conduct, I don't care if it's conduct, definitely unsportsmanlike. Call me as soon as that game is done. There's a good chance I'm going to be on the field somewhere, but leave me a voicemail. Say, I just flagged this guy for unsportsmanlike. this is what happened, because I want to hear it from you first, because I know sure as can be that I'm going to hear it from them.
Yep.
And as Jeremy said, as your assigner, trainer, and whatnot, I'm going to have your back. So you tell me the story the way the officials saw the play happen.
Yep.
And I can deal with that.
Yeah. You know, and not to speak for Randy, Amara, or Matt, but as assigners, you know, you expect your officials to be respectful of the coaches, players, and fans. And in response, you expect the coaches, players, and fans to respect the officials, right? So if that's not happening, your assigner needs to know immediately, because your assigner is, like Randy said, is going to be probably called by a coach or you know, unfortunately, occasionally a fan, or a player's parent. And you know, the first thing we're going to talk to you about after we get this both sides of the story, you know, were you respectful? You know, did you lose your, you know, your patience? Did you yell? You know, even if you made a bad call, you still maintain that professionalism. Yeah. Matt, Don, you have anything to that point? Excuse me.
No, I think the best thing is the sooner you get a hold of us, the better. Again, we probably want to hear both sides of the story so that, you know, we can think about what's going on. Or again, because like if you hear from a parent, if you hear from a coach, everything's going to be slightly tinted in their direction. So, you know, our goal is to be the neutral party. We want to make sure that we get both sides of the story, what happened, how you saw it, so that, okay, when a coach comes, we could try to start to piece this stuff together.
Great. And I think to Matt's point and Randy's point as well, like, if coaches are worried about player safety, that's one thing. That's a serious issue. If coaches are worried because there was a play that led to the other team winning the game in a 12U game and they're fired up about it, that's a different call from the assigner. The assigner would be like, was you know, typically, well, I'll review that call with the official, but you know, player safety was not at all, you know, infringed, or you weren't concerned about player safety. No, just the score of the game. Well, that's a totally different conversation for a youth lacrosse coach, right? That's probably a conversation they should have with a therapist or an anger management person. But you know, the most important thing again, fair and safe and fair games. That's our goal every single time we step on the field. Okay. All right. So if we're cool with that, we can move on to the next module, professionalism and game management. After that, we'll take a quick break. Then we'll go into fouls. And then it looks like we'll start with mechanics on the 22nd. So let me get this. I don't believe there's any narration when I went through this before for this next deck. So I will start sharing. All right. So you guys should be able to see my screen here. Milo, you all right? Hey Milo, can you unmute, or can you mute yourself? Oh, I can do it. There we go. Great. All right. So everyone can see my screen. Very, very important that we always think about professionalism as we're officiating these youth lacrosse games. Okay. So you got to think about, what is it to be a professional? Well, I mean, you can read the screen, but essentially there's 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. That's not just a a mantra for officiating is probably germane to your jobs in the future as well. Okay. Lacrosse can look like controlled chaos, right? But as officials, we are playing a large part in that control. There is still a equal or greater amount of culpability from players and coaches to maintain control of a game. We do our best to maintain control by providing an unbiased, fair, and safe environment. But players and coaches are really the ones who are going to control a game. Okay, their behavior really dictates our officiating, what we call, what we don't call. Okay, but we have to remain unbiased. We have to remain calm. Okay, and we always have to be paying attention and dialed in, paying attention and dialed in. Okay. We briefly talked on this, but first appearance does speak volumes. You don't have to look like these four guys, like used car salesmen at the youth level, but you should be properly in your uniform. You should be wearing non-logoed, non-team logoed equipment to the game, shorts, jersey, jacket, nothing. Should only be lacrosse gear. And don't wear flip-flops or sandals and change into them. Have your shoes changed in the parking lot or where you parked. Okay. That appearance, that first impression absolutely speaks volumes. Okay. Can you ref with a smile? That's great if you can. I'm okay if you have a serious expression on your face too. Some people find it really creepy when people only smile. I'm just giving you a little life lesson there. Uniform, dressed apart. Sorry. Okay. Randy talked about this. The youth level, do your best to communicate with your partner the day before. Okay, at least the day before. You usually get assignments a week in advance, 4 days in advance. You have plenty of time to email through Arbiter or text your partner to see to make sure what they're wearing. Again, if somebody doesn't have a hat, don't wear a hat. Wear sunglasses. At this level, the 1-inch collared, striped shirt with a chest pocket, absolute required. Black shorts, absolute required, preferably with a belt. One flag, Fox 40 whistle. Don't need the 20-second timer. And we'll talk about tape measures for stick checks at the training.
Jeremy, do you mean to be presenting? There's nothing on the screen.
There's nothing on the screen?
No. We just see your smiling face.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Well, thanks for telling me.
Well, I thought you were just giving us a spiel.
No. It was. Oh, shoot. It's not
I
showing.
agreed with everything you said.
Hold on. Let me get this to work again. Okay. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yep.
You can see the uniform slide. Randy?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It's all there.
Jesus, man. Hell yeah. This is why we don't use Zoom anymore. Okay. So just to go back one slide. So okay. So again, this is what the uniforms look like. Please do your best to match your partner. Very, very important. Okay. It just helps set a good example. As these smiling guys will say, some of your partners might have the WILOA jacket, meaning they're doing college games. Some might have a North Face jacket or something. Others might not have anything on it. At the youth level, you'll most likely be officiating with one senior official, i.e., a youth official in their second or third year, or you'll be officiating with an actual adult official who's had a number of years experience officiating. Expect to communicate with them. Expect to be as closely dressed matched as possible. Does it matter? Yes. A properly coordinated crew sends several unspoken messages. This is a very outdated picture, about 7 or 8 years ago, right?
That would be about 15 because we quit wearing shorts, I think, in 11.
Yep,
White
the white
shorts.
shorts were in 11.
Yeah.
Wow, that just shows how long. That seems like 7 years ago to me. White shorts and knee-high socks is what we started wearing.
Oh yeah, I still got socks though. They rock.
Not a good look for anyone.
No.
But I mean, to be fair, let me go back. To be fair, this is what he was supposed to be wearing. His shirt's tucked in, belt. That's great. What isn't great is this guy officiating a lacrosse game with a lacrosse shirt that's untucked, gray team logo, shorts, an Under Armour hat. Looks like he's out of position, maybe a little bit for a face off. That's not a good look. That's not what we're looking for, right? Similarly, just maybe not in the best fitted clothes here with a officiating jacket that's probably a size too small. Just
the most outlandish is the socks and shoes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and again, we're not gonna get on you for your shoes as high school age officials, but wear low cut socks. Try not to wear like the higher socks or anything. That's your best look moving forward. Okay, that's how you assert your initial first impression as being positive. Okay. And the mantra that you'll hear through all the lacrosse settings: honor the game. Honor the game. Obviously, this guy looks like a soccer official, not really honoring the game. This slide really is here from US Lacrosse to say, don't look like and behave like an idiot in wearing your lacrosse officiating gear outside of the game. Like, don't walk around the field after the game with your shirt untucked, talking on a phone loud and being disruptive. Just do your best to maintain professionalism. Okay. Conditioning is also extremely important. This doesn't really apply to anyone. For those of you who are playing lacrosse, certainly you have to be in a position to make the right call. We'll see in a video later. Certainly at the high school level and 14U, there's plenty of fast kids. Okay. And knowing where you're supposed to be on the field, being in proper positioning, will help you get to where you want to be before the action gets to where it's supposed to be, gets to the same spot. Okay. So game shape, what does that mean? Youth games, 2 to 3 miles. High school games, 3 to 4 miles. College games, 5 to 7 miles. It just make sure you're not walking on the field. That's a huge one. Do not walk on the field. You should be running. You should be jogging. If you're walking, it sends a signal to the fans, players, and coaches that you're just not 100% in it. Okay. And you don't have to be like sprinting, but you should be moving with pace and purpose. Pace and purpose. Okay. Randy, do you have anything to add?
No. Well, in youth, you should never get beat to the GLE by the other team.
Yeah.
Especially, the fifth and sixth grader 12s.
Yeah.
You learn over the course of time. I know the big thing I joke about me is I never run. To to me, if you have to run, that means you were out of position to start. So you didn't anticipate what was going to happen. So as a player, you all know how to anticipate who's going to get the ball next. As an official, you have to do the same thing, anticipate where's that ball going to go and where do I need to be if it goes in a different spot than I was planning on. But you learn that. I mean, there's no manual that's going to help you do that. You know, I mean, the thing is, if you're walking, you should be jogging. If you're jogging, you should be running. And if you're running, you should be sprinting. If you're sprinting, that means you were out of position to start, or it started growing roots in your trail position and whatnot. But that's all stuff you learn over the course of time. And I saw in there, you know, how do you cheat? Okay, the ball's on the ground. You're the trail official. You start backing up already, right? Now, you don't take your eyes off the ball. You just start backing up because there's a good chance it's coming to you. If it's picked up again by the offense and it's going back in, then you just kind of jog back down into your position. But those are things you just learn, guys. I mean, you just learn.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we haven't really touched on it much, but GLE is an acronym for goal line extended, which is essentially the line of the goal extended all the way sideline to sideline. So that's like running the full distance of the field minus 20 yards. So it's a lot. But you should not be running from goal line to the other goal line is what Randy is trying to get to you. You should be, and this is a good part of field training, is trying to put you, get you comfortable. Like, we'll go over mechanics, which is the way we actually, officiate games. But getting you these little kind of masterclass in when you should be like moving your feet forward, backwards, kind of figuring out, anticipating gameplay without putting you in a position where you can't make a call if it doesn't go the way you're anticipating, right? So it's a acquired skill, and every single one of you can do it. Trust me. Okay, so here is a video. It's hard to see, but there's a lead official, and that's a high school game. You can see how fast the ball can get down the field in high school. Obviously, in college, it's going to be even faster. Okay, but you can see this official starting at the 40. He's going, 40, 50 yards. He's got to get down that field, get to position, goal line extended to make that call around the crease area. Okay, so that's 50 yards about of running at a time. So, it's not necessarily like a super taxing thing, but you're also running while you're watching the game action. You have your head down, pumping your arms. Okay, so that is about the level you can expect in high school, and it's some 14U. Okay, the ball will move that fast. Hustle. I mean, this is just USA Lacrosse saying you need to jog, run, and sprint, and be in the position that your trainers are telling you to be in when you're where you should be on the field, to watch the area of the field you're tasked with to make that play. Okay? So again, you don't have to be in, Matt Bach shape, right? You can be in Jeremy Sullivan shape and still run, okay? And still get in the right position. Another animal video from USA Lacrosse. You're infatuated with wolves. There's a lot of wolf videos, just so you know. The gist of this video is not to show Animal Planet stuff. It's more to show you that you should be working as hard you do as in youth games as you do in high school JV games, right? Give 100% effort no matter what the age level, 10, 12, 14. Okay? One other thing we want to do is make sure that you are following certain rules, especially from the assigner's perspective. Be on time, which means typically 30 minutes before game time. Be on the field 30 minutes before. Okay. Talk to your local assigner about what time they expect, but I can guarantee you they want you there 30 minutes before the game. Okay. Because you have a lot of pregame responsibilities to do before you can take that, before you can blow the face-off whistle. Excuse me, to start your game. You are just as important as the players, and you are the one who is essentially responsible for adjudicating fairness in the game, safety in the game. Safety should primarily be done by the coaches and the players. They should be responsible for making the game safe. You're calling violations of safety essentially. But the way you do that and the way you're consistent with it will condition the players what they can and cannot do during the game. Okay, so you set that tone initially, and then you're consistent. The players will know exactly what and how they should be handling a game. If you don't, and you waver on some calls, and you miss a couple calls that are related to like safety related, like high hit, or you're not properly locking somebody, or you're not properly giving somebody the total amount of minutes of penalty time they need for a hit to the head. Those calls kind of incite players, coaches, and fans to all get their anger and aggression up, all get angry. And then the tone of the game is the intensity of the game has amped up so much that it's only really a matter of time before somebody explodes, right? By setting expectations for safety and fairness in the game like you do and being consistent, you dramatically decrease that intensity and the kind of simmering animosity that can occur during a game. Okay. Little things do matter. These are not little things. These are very important things that you'll have access to on your USA Lacrosse websites. Okay. The boys mechanics manual online you'll have access to in your USA Lacrosse member. The rules, you got to know the rules. The rule book is online. You'll have access to once you're USA Lacrosse member. The test is an open book test. You can take as many times as you can to get a 90% right. Anybody can get that test right. Okay. And if you have any questions, talk to your assigner about it. But the test is not meant to like trick you. It's meant to make sure that when you step on the field, you know the rules of lacrosse. Okay. Study the book. This is always USA Lacrosse's mantra, and it really does help. You know, have it downloaded on your phone. Sometimes you can request a paper copy. Randy, they still do the paper copies?
No, yeah, I actually got one right here. I got
fantastic. We used to get them with our USA Lacrosse membership for free. Now I think they're $8 or something.
Yeah, I think it's $7.50 or $8.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good reading if if you're an insomniac,
yeah.
But because you can only read so many A1 to B2 and C3 before you're like, huh? You'll learn a lot more just being on the field and taking it seriously. If going back to what Jeremy was saying very, very earlier in this thing.
Yeah.
You're used to having player eyes on a field. You have to take them out and put them in the case and put officials' eyes in because the view is completely different.
Yep. And you're getting paid to do that.
Yes.
You're getting paid to put officiating eyes on every single time you step on the field.
Yeah.
It's a job. So that's a skill, as Randy said, that you have to master. I personally, I used to have a book. Okay, let me take a step back. Never take a USA Lacrosse book out during the game to check a call, to check a rule. Don't do that. You got to know them before. Now, if in between, I usually never take it out at the field. I'll leaf through like a couple germane rules for each age group in my car beforehand, and your assigners will most likely provide you with, right before the season starts, with a essentially a handout of age specific 10, 12, and 14U rules, okay, that are specific to your area. So, for example, in Madison, you'll get when it says 10U, there'll be a handout and it'll be game time, penalties, what checks are allowed, what advancement counts, which we'll talk about later, are enforced. So you'll have that information. You can bring that in your bag to the field and look it over real quick, because let's be honest, a lot of times you're going to be doing a 12U game, a 14U game, then a 12U game, then a 14U game, or in Milwaukee, you might do a 10, 12, and 14 back to back to back. So you're going to have to recalibrate your officiating lens for each of those different age groups. Okay. So having that handout's fine. Just don't pull out a rule book, especially if a coach is like, you're doing that wrong. You're doing that wrong. Let me see. I have a rule book right here. Cut them off and say, Coach, that's my call. That's what I saw. That's my call. We're sticking with that. If you have any questions or comments, please contact my assigner after the game. Okay. That's what I saw. That's my call. That's what I saw. That's my call. Okay. It shouldn't be a debate, you and a coach, but you can certainly clarify a call, what you saw. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that so far before we advance a little bit? No? Great. So, mechanics, the 20-second training session, we're going to focus a lot on mechanics. But mechanics is essentially the way in which we're calling a game. Okay. Where we're standing, where our hands are, where resets are, all of that fun stuff is mechanics. Okay. So mechanics allow the game to proceed in a fair and safe way, but it also decreases the amount of time it takes for when we blow a whistle or a play dead to when we start it again. Proper mechanics allow us to start games faster, allow kids to play more lacrosse. Okay. At the youth level, especially at the 10U level, we do not want to sacrifice speed and restarting the game from safety and making sure teams are ready to play. Okay. At the 14U, at the high school level, hey, let's get up and go lacrosse. When the officials are ready, we're going, right? Those quick restarts have been a USA Lacrosse whistle now for a few years. They want to get games moving faster and faster and faster. That's fantastic. But at the 10U level, that's not your top goal, is fast restarts. You want to get the game started as fast as you can, but you also want to make sure that the teams are actually on the field and ready to go, right? So
that's a great point, Jeremy. Hey guys, and this is from college all the way down. The fast restart only happens when you and your partner are in position to restart it. That's as fast as it's going to be. Just because somebody picks up the ball from the sideline and says, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. If your partner's not ready, or they may be talking to a coach or whatever, you better not be starting the play back up. There's that misnomer that, a fast restart is as soon as they can pick it up and go. It's like, no, you can't restart it until the third team, as we talked about earlier, is ready to go. Because you do not want to hang your partner out to dry if all of a sudden you're restarting it and they're talking to a coach and it's going the other direction. Well, who now is going to cover that inline and who's going to cover that GLE? So fast restarts only happen when the officials are ready to restart fast.
Yeah, great point. Great point. So when we talk about mechanics, again, we're going to go into this, in depth. right? It's about moving with the flow of the game. Use purposeful, specific movements to put yourself in the best place to see the game and to cover the area of the field you're responsible for. Proper mechanics also allow you to anticipate, like Randy was saying, where the play is going, your next movement, all right, without overextending yourself and putting you in a place where you're unable to officiate the ball going against your anticipation. And the mechanics allow you to keep moving to see the best play. And certainly, as officials, we have to be able to run with your head on a swivel, meaning you're not just having your head facing forward while you're running. You have to be able to be looking back, looking over while you're running. Okay. Pre-game. I don't know why that keeps doing that. I apologize. Pre-game. This is why we're there at least 30 minutes before a youth lacrosse game. You have to get your partner there, ask relevant questions. You have to, figure out, between you, hey, this is 10U. Here's the things we're looking for. We're not calling 20-second counts. We're not calling 10-second counts. We just have the goalie count, right? We got to make sure at 10U specifically that during that pregame lineup that the goalie is properly equipped. We'll talk about that. But at the 10U level, and unfortunately at the 12U level, one of the biggest things teams do not have is a goalie throw protector. You cannot play a lacrosse game with an improperly dressed goalie, i.e., if the goalie does not have a throw protector. You cannot play that game under any circumstance. If the goalie's mom comes out, oh my God, I forgot it, I apologize, I'm fine having my kid play. No. You cannot play a USA lacrosse game with a goalie who does not have the minimal proper equipment. And that includes a throw protector. Okay. At the high school and the older kid levels, you'll start to say, hey, like I've officiated these 14U teams before. It can get a little chippy. Let's make sure we're calling the technical fouls and the personal fouls we see early to set that tone. Like these are all things you're talking about in the pregame. Also at the youth level, you're walking the field, you're making, you're looking for holes that are going to destroy your ankles if you fall in them. That's happened to me before. I broke my ankle officiating a 10U lacrosse game in Verona at a cemetery because there was a gosh darn hole that I stepped in, broke my ankle fittingly at a cemetery field. So this is stuff that you have to do pregame, and this is why pregame is so important. You also have during this pregame period, you want to talk to the table and game personnel. You want to make sure they know what they're doing. You want to make sure that you communicate with them clearly during the game. Also, to certify the field, you have to test the horn. Okay. But one of the main things you want to do, and Randy touched on this earlier, is certainly with the bench, the timekeeper and the scorekeeper. You want to make sure you reiterate to them, hey, this is 10U. They're 10-minute running quarters. The clock does not stop unless I signal the time to stop for an injury. Okay. This is a 12U lacrosse game. It's going to be 12-minute running quarters. The clock will not stop unless there's an injury, unless I indicate to you that to stop the clock for an injury. I have had now a few times parents who are doing the time, I'll go over to the bench during the pregame meeting and be like, hey, just to let you know, like, you can keep track of time, through your phone if need be, but ideally the bench has a clock. It's 12-minute running quarters. You do not stop the clock unless there's an injury. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. My son plays high school lacrosse. I do it for the high school lacrosse. Okay. Meanwhile, the game starts. You're about halfway through the first quarter, and there's a timeout or you're reporting a penalty and you're like, what's the time in the quarter? And they're like, well, it's only been like a minute and a half. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Well, yeah, like I stopped the clock like I do in high school. I'm like, literally, I just told you it's running clock before the game. So you still have to check specifically at the end of the quarters that, the timing is being done accurately, that the noting of penalties is properly being done, and that the alternating possession, which we'll talk about later, is in the right spot. The official scorers do not keep the official score of the game. You keep the official score of the game on your scorecard. Okay, that's really important to know. If there's ever a discrepancy between like what a coach thinks and what's presented on the scoreboard or at the bench, it's your responsibility to keep the official score of the game. Only you. Okay? Randy, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that is actually a very important point, and I'm glad you brought it up. Guys, everybody who goes to the on-field training will make sure that you got score pads and whatnot. Whatever you have on your score sheet, score pad, is what the score is. So it is incumbent on you to do it correctly. I don't care if you put the numbers on or you just put an X or whatever you want to do. Just make sure you're doing it correctly, because if push comes to shove, and you're going to have to do this when you do tournaments too, if you get that far along, because that Jeremy's correct. In the rule book, every rule book from top to bottom, the official has the official score. So make sure you're on top of it.
Great. And again, we'll go over all this stuff at pregame or at the on-field training. So, we will go into great detail about all of these pregame stuff. There are soft skills. We talked briefly about this communication. Don't be afraid to say it's time to move on when a coach is trying to get clarification on a call and you've made that call. Okay, this isn't a debate. Okay. And frankly, this will happen mostly during your older kid games where coaches will, keep chewing on you, trying to figure out, essentially get you to say you missed something. Coach, this is what I saw. This is the call. I'm happy to, have my assigner talk to you. That's what you need to know. Assistant coach at the youth level, we don't really deal too much about those because most of the coaches that we have are parents. A lot of the coaches have no lacrosse skills, have never seen a lacrosse game, and some of them have never coached anything before. All right. It's very difficult for coaches of sports they've never played or never had any contact with to coach. We need coaches. We don't want to be heavy on the coaches, but communication and respect is something any adult can give to an official. Okay. So it's questions are okay, comments are not.
Jeremy, that picture there, that's a great way, guys, to talk with the head coach right there.
Yeah.
You back up to them, you give them the time, as long as they're asking questions, your eyes are still on the field and you're having the conversation. Because you don't want to turn your back to the field and then have the conversation. You do it like that. Coach, this is what we got. We can get back together if there's a break in the play, and you're respectful. And I mean, this is a perfect shot of how you should deal with a coach.
Yeah. Questions are okay. Excuse me, sir. Like, what did you see on that call? A coach can say to you, to the official, you say, sir, I saw, a hand off the stick on making contact with the back of the player, and that contact was illegal. Okay. Now, if you say, if the coach is like, what did you see? And you say, I saw that, a free hand on the back of the player, that's gaining an advantage to the defended player. We're going to call that a hold, and the comment is like, no, that's not what I saw. That's not what anyone here saw. Well, that's a comment. That's not really a question. We're not dealing with that. Okay. Diffuse the situations. Be professional, sir. That's what I saw. That's the call. My assigner's happy to discuss this. This game turning technical foul with you. Again, communication. We're not going to go too much into this. Come on, ref, call it both ways. And every sport in the history of humankind, that's been a comment somebody's yelled, either a fan or a coach. Your job is to provide a fair and safe environment. So you do your best to call it both ways. Players, be respectful to players. Certainly don't ever raise your voice to them. You're going to, especially when you're doing face-offs, you're definitely going to be communicating with those players. At the youth level, you're going to be setting them up for face-offs, most likely, right? Be as friendly, conciliatory as you can, but you are the authority in the field. Okay? You are the authority in the field. And during right before the game, during our pregame lineups with the starters of both teams, that's a good point to just reiterate some of the age-specific rules, right? You don't want to spend a long time talking to the players at the pregame lineup, but you do want to say, hey, these are the counts that are enforced. This is what we're looking for. Make sure you're playing by the rules. If you have any questions, have your head coach ask them during a quarter break or something, right? Be proactive. Be proactive. Mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay. This is why we confer with our partners about personal and technical fouls for sure. Okay. If you make a mistake, it's totally fine. Okay. Everyone does it. The worst thing you can do is not own up to it. Okay. And this usually happens, and Randy, please correct me if I'm wrong, inadvertent whistles.
Yep.
Okay. You're going to have an inadvertent whistle once in a while. That's okay. What you can't do with an inadvertent whistle, and this is something we will deal with on-field training, is just, you blow a whistle inadvertently to start a play. Well, just keep playing. Just keep playing. Don't do that. You got to stop that play dead again and make sure that everyone's reset. Okay. That by not doing that, by not resetting, you're making you're compounding an error. You're compounding a mistake. We don't want to do that. Okay. Your crew, obviously, don't ever during a game, and I don't think anyone does this too much anymore. Don't ever during a game say, well, that wasn't my call to a coach. If he's, at a game, if he's, barking at you for a call your partner make. Well, that wasn't my call. Talk to my partner. Don't do that. I mean, I've seen this in college games, and it drives me bananas when officials be like, "Well, it's my partner," or at the high school level, and it's like, "Oh yeah, like he doesn't know what he's doing." Jesus, man, guy stinks. Like I've heard that before, like from an official to a coach about another official. Don't do that. Don't ever do that because it undermines people's confidence in you as well. Okay. Bus tossing your officiating partner is not a great way to become a great official. Randy, you have anything to add on that?
No. There's still guys that do it. That's not my call. I don't know what my partner's doing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and then, and you can always tell when they've done something like that.
Yep.
Because you're like, okay, now we got to bail out of this one. Like if a coach, says something, I'll go, Coach, my partner's right there. It's got to be the right call. It's like, and what are they going to say? I mean, they can't argue with me, right? It's like,
right.
And so, and the best thing, guys, and I've said this for years, is they can't quote silence. So if you say nothing, they can't do anything.
That's a great point. Yep. Be professional, be respectful to your partner, also be respectful to the coach. And sometimes just saying like, I'm not going to engage with that or just ignore them. In that context, ignoring a coach is not the worst thing you can do. In other contexts, we'll talk about this later. Sometimes by ignoring a coach and not just saying, "Coach, that's what I saw. That's my call. That's the end of it," just amps up that coach even more and more and more. So it's a way in which you can non-verbally, entice a coach's anger, and we want to be the ones to ameliorate or lessen the anxiety in the game. And most of you are, you're on your feet, your first forays into lacrosse officiating, which is fantastic, great. But you can always keep advancing. You one day could be the governor of lacrosse in the state of Wisconsin, like Randy. Randy, Matt, Don, a number of these guys every Saturday and Sunday are doing college games and then probably jumping down to do a 10U game sometimes the same day. So it's there's a lot of opportunity for you to grow as an official in the state of Wisconsin, right? There are D1 teams in the state, D1 team in the state of Wisconsin. It's not unheard of in 10 years or 7, 8, 9 years, if you keep advancing and officiating, for you to be doing D1 lacrosse games. Okay. So, talk to your assigners about advancement, but it all starts with you doing a great job now. Starting the best habits you can start to gain as an official. This is kind of what we just talked about. If you need a mentor, talk to your assigner about finding you these mentors. But honestly, the best way to become a really good official is to do games and to prioritize lacrosse officiating as a job. Prioritize your weekends. There's really only 5 weekends in the state that there's lacrosse officiating. I know a lot of you younger guys play games as well. Okay. But picking off a couple games, like if you have a game at 4:00 on Saturday, picking off a 9, 10, and 11 game, 10U game, you'll make $180 doing those 3 games, and you'll get more experience. Assigners will, accommodate you if you're a guy who eats games, just lives games. Plenty of times people have been like, I need as many games as I can. There's nobody else. We have 6 games in a row. They'll be like, I'll do them. You're like, that's a lot of games, 10U games, 6 10U games in a row. It's a lot of games. You don't, as an assigner, you wouldn't normally do that. But since there's a shortage, this guy's hungry for games. He's reliable. He's not going to, cancel at the last minute. Boom, you have 6 games. It's $360 for a Saturday morning and afternoon, 9 to 3. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. You're getting outside, you're making money, you're also making a difference by providing these 10U lacrosse kids, 12U lacrosse kids, 14U lacrosse kids a safe environment and fair environment to learn and develop into lacrosse players. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll take maybe a 10-minute break. Randy, does that sound right?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds about right.
10-minute break. We're going to go right into technical fouls, and then we'll start personal fouls, and try to get through as much as we can today. And then it's going to be a heavy dose of mechanics, and then USA lacrosse stuff next period. So we'll take a break. See you in 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, we can probably get started again, since it's being recorded. That's you can always go back and look. Can you guys hear me? All right. Somebody unmute and tell me if they can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you, Anderson. Thanks, Mar. Okay, so now we're going to move on to technical fouls. Technical fouls. Okay. Some of the terminology you'll see about lead and trail officials in the next few slides has to do with mechanics, which is what we're going to actually cover next time. but we want you to get an idea about the technical and personal fouls of lacrosse before we move on to mechanics. Okay. So for technical fouls, the lacrosse acronym is TPOD, which stands for the principle of advantage disadvantage. Okay. Technical fouls are not player safety fouls. Personal fouls are player safety fouls. Okay. So technical fouls mostly deal with whether a player is put at a disadvantage or whether a player gains an advantage. Okay. So there are some technical fouls which are situational, and your judgment as an official determines whether they're called. Other technical fouls are strict calls that you must make. Okay. These are line calls. Crease violations, the goal crease violations, and offsides are technical fouls. You cannot use judgment on those. Okay. The other technical fouls require your judgment as to the principle of advantage disadvantage. Okay. So these are a little bit, some of these are very easy to call. They're strictly enforced. Others are based on your assessment of advantage disadvantage. Okay. So technical fouls also kind of fall into motion versus contact versus game management. Okay. Motion, contact, game management. Some of the motion fouls would be offsides, crease violations, illegal procedures, and then illegal screens or warding off. Warding off is when an offensive player gains an advantage, typically by using a hand not on the lacrosse stick to protect the carrying the ball. Okay. We'll talk about that in greater detail. Similarly, illegal contact, holding, interference, and pushing are technical fouls. And then there's game management technical fouls like conduct fouls, and stalling. Okay. Motion fouls, crease violations, illegal procedures, illegal screens, warding off, offsides. Okay. Those should be called regardless of perceived advantage. Okay. Motion fouls generally have to be called regardless of perceived advantage. Okay. Now, with technical fouls and personal fouls, there is something called the play on scenario. Okay. Which is when, certain times where you see a technical foul committed, a lot of times during a loose ball. Okay. And you see a technical foul committed, the ball's still loose. The team that was offended, okay, so the team the technical foul was committed on, you don't want to stop the play right away because they might get the ball and get their advantage. Okay. So instead of stopping the play when you see a technical foul on the loose ball, okay, you raise your arm, mechanic, and say, play on, play on. That then allows the team that was offended to potentially pick up the ground ball, okay, and go to the goal. What you don't want to do in a play-on situation is take away an advantage from a team that's already had a technical foul committed on them. Okay. So that's one of the nuances in the game that you're going to need to develop. And the way you develop that nuanced calling is to do as many games as you can. Okay. Now, there are instances where a play on ends early. That's typically when the offended team commits a technical foul themselves. Okay. So we'll talk about the play on mechanic. We'll also talk about the flag down slow whistle mechanic, which you'll sometimes see as FDSW. Flag down slow whistle means that you have a foul called. The team that has the penalty committed against them has possession of the ball. Okay, so you don't want to stop the play immediately. You want the team who was offended and they have the ball to have a chance to score or not take the advantage of having the ball away from them. Okay. So motion, offsides, crease violations, illegal procedures, legal screen / warding off. Warding off is when essentially an offensive player commits what would be essentially a screen themselves. An illegal contact, holding, interference, pushing, game management, conduct, foul, stalling. Okay. So let's start with motion fouls. Again, offside is a big motion, or offside is a line call. Okay. Offside is not always an advantage, though. Okay. But it has to be called due to it being a line violation. A line violation. Okay. So that means there must be 7 in the offensive half of the field to be offside. Okay. So in a full field game, you have 3 midfielders and 3 attack who can be in your offensive end. So if there's 7 players from one team in the offensive half of their field, that's offsides. Okay. Offsides. Randy, you have anything to add?
No, other than always count forward, guys. Don't look back. It's that 7 thing. It's like if you got 7 in front of you, they're offsides. We don't care how many are behind.
Yeah, and that's a great point that Randy brings up. It's not an advantage for a team to have less than 4 in their defensive half. That's not an advantage to them. It's only an advantage if they have 7 in their offensive half. Okay. So we have 10 players on a field at once. Okay. In a 12U, 14U high school, college game. Okay. An advantage is not gained by a team only having 3 players in their defensive end. It's gained by them having 7 in their offensive end. Okay. Very important. Here's a video. Now, we have an official here, an official here. Okay. We're going to watch the game action. This looks like some kind of a scrimmage. Okay. And we're going to look for an advantage being gained by either blue or white. Okay. So blue is here. They have the ball. They're trying to get it over midfield. They pass it to a defensive player. The defensive player, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So they have 7 players in their offensive end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Advantage. That's an easy offside call. Okay. Easy offside call. Again, Team Blue is clearing the ball. They're trying to get it into their offensive end. Pass to a defenseman. He comes over. This player could have stayed on the opposite side of the midfield, and they would be legal. They would have 6 players in their offensive end. That's totally fine. If a defenseman goes over midfield, okay, that's totally fine as long as 4 players, any 4 players are back restrained in their defensive half. i.e., with 10 players on the field, you can only have 6 players in your offensive end. Okay? Offensive end. Does anybody have any questions about that? Great. Okay. So here, again, 7 players will end up in the offensive end. Okay, here's another example. Here's offside. If your defense, your defense has more than 7 players, so 3 midfielders, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, they have more than 7 players on their defensive side, while the ball's on their defensive side, obviously, that's an advantage to them. Okay, so let's watch here. It's like White has the ball and Red's on defense here. Okay, so White's trying to get it over midfield. This red player trying to play this ball. Okay. hops over midfield. So he's restrained. He's an attackman. He's got to be behind this midfield line. Okay. So he's trying to get the ball from White. Okay. Keep him from getting over. That's totally fine to do as long as you're on this side, the restrained side of the midfield line. Okay. The restrained side of the midfield line. Once he steps on the line and over, okay, he then becomes another defender. Okay. He's on the defensive side of his field. You can't have more than 7 players back there. Okay. So he would become the 8th player once he steps on that midfield line and over. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So now comes one of the more difficult in my experience, one of the more difficult calls to, number one, watch for, and number 2, train younger or newer officials on. Okay. This is the crease violation. Crease violation. Okay. Crease violations are not always an advantage, but they have to be called because they're a line violation. A line violation, just like stepping on the sideline, stepping on midfield. Okay. Line violations. Okay. So typically what we'll see is an offensive play at the youth level. Okay. At the youth level, typically what you'll see is an offensive player without the ball stepping on the crease of the goal that they're scoring at, i.e. their offensive end. Okay. At the 10U level, if the action's nowhere near it, typically what I do is say, hey, watch the crease, watch the crease. Okay. At the 12, 14U level, you got to call it. You got to call it. Okay. It's technically it's a technical foul. It's a line violation. So if the offense has possession of the ball and an offensive player steps on the crease, a technical foul is called. In that case, when the offense has possession of the ball, the technical foul ends the play. The ball is turned over to the defense. Okay. The ball is turned over to the defense. If there's a loose ball, okay, and red is on defense, blue is on offense, a loose ball, okay, off to the side, a blue player accidentally steps on the crease, that's going to be a play on. Put your arm up, play on. See if red gets the ball. If red gets the ball and they're gaining an advantage, the play on is over. Okay. You don't want to take an advantage away from a team that's been offended. But if blue picks up the ball and you had blue play on for blue stepping on the crease, then as soon as blue gets possession of the ball, the whistle blows, that ends it. The technical foul is enforced. Okay. So that's the play on that we briefly discussed a few minutes ago. And we'll talk about it in mechanics and we'll go over it ad nauseum at field training. Okay. Technical fouls are about advantage, disadvantage. Personal fouls are about player safety. Okay. Line violations always have to be called. Line violations always have to be called. Okay. A legal procedure, it's really a catch-all call. Okay. A legal procedure is more, it's not really one specific call like holding. It's more like a category of calls, right? A legal procedure could be for a delay of game. A legal procedure could be, a team constantly stalling, trying to not starting the game when you're ready to start the game as the officials. A legal procedure could be a mouthpiece violation. Okay. There are a number, it's kind of like a catch-all call. Other illegal procedures are, and at the youth level, please do not be so stringent with some of these fields markings. Do your best to get the game played. Do your best to get the game safely set up. But sometimes, there'll be an improperly marked field, right, at the end line or the mid line. It's not all the way through. This is something you do at pregame. You see it, talk to both coaches, you kind of let them know. But technically, that's an illegal procedure on the home team for having an improperly marked field. And that's a technical foul, which means in lieu of starting the game with the face-off, you would start the game with the visitors having possession of the ball. This is extremely important in high school, important at 14U, less important at 12 and 10U, but you still want to make sure coaches and players know when there's an improperly marked field. Okay. A legal procedure is also what we call when a team during a face-off leaves their restraining line prior to possession being called by the officials. We'll talk about this during the face-off lesson. Okay. So these are some of the catch-all calls that fall under the category of a legal procedure. Okay. Too many men on the fields, delay of game, and typically improperly marked fields, or leaving the restraining area early on a face-off before there's possession called by the officials. Okay. You can also, for some of these, give a warning. Like, for example, the one we get a lot, not immediately dropping the ball when you call a turnover on a team. The kid holds on the ball and is like arguing about it. You can give them a warning. Hey, next time that's a legal procedure. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that illegal procedure? Great. I can't see the screen, so if anybody's nodding their head or has a hand raised, they have to unmute or let Randy know. Illegal screens are similar to basketball, but not the same. Okay. Illegal screens are typically called moving picks, like with basketball. Similarly, your arms and sticks should be no more than shoulder width apart. Okay. So another way we kind of phrase that is body frame. Everything has to be within your body frame. The lean is one of the big ones. Not having your feet set before the big is a big one. But here's something that was stressed in the 2026 USA Lacrosse training video for trainers, is that setting an illegal screen by itself is not a technical foul. It's only if it makes contact with a player. So those are the kind of nuances that you'll want to look to for your partner, who, if you're a new official, probably has more experience than you, will have more experience than you. Is that if a player runs around in a legal screen, doesn't make contact with the screener, it's not going to be enforced. Okay. So even if they're leaning, they're putting their leg out so the player's running around them, they have to make contact for it to be an illegal screen. Okay. So that's not always the way I've called it. But that was a point of emphasis this year. Randy, do you have anything to add?
No, that's good. I mean, that's the one thing that'll get you guys, on screens. I don't know if you're familiar with hockey. We used to call it the Russian hip check. Guy'll come by and all of a sudden that hip will hop out and take the player out of, going around. As long as the picker has maintained his position with his stick up and down, it's good to go. It's the lean that I've seen more and more from every level. It's like the guy will come there and all of a sudden you just see that whole body kind of like shift and try to like slow the guy down. But like Jeremy said earlier, if there's no contact, there's nothing. And you're going to have a coach, oh my God, it's illegal. Well, there was no contact. So you really got to be paying attention to it.
Yep. And that exaggerated wide stance, as a player runs by, if the picker has like a wide stance and they bump feet, that's going to be an illegal screen. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if they have an exaggerated stance that's leading to the contact, then you can call that an illegal screen. Okay. But you're looking for contact. There has to be contact for you to make that call now. Okay.
So I have a question then, actually.
Sure.
So what happens if someone sets an illegal screen and doesn't make contact, but it disadvantages the defender?
Yep. It's not considered a disadvantage unless there's contact made. And I know what you're getting at with an exaggerated frame, like you have your stick out, they have to run around it.
Yeah.
That defensive player has to make contact with the picker for it to be called.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Good question, bud.
Very good question.
Anybody else?
Because it's easy to breeze by that. Oh, well, he didn't slow him down. Well, no.
Yep. Great call. Okay, so here we have a video of an illegal screen. Let's watch the video and then we'll talk through it. Okay, let's watch this again. So let's see what we're looking for. Does anybody see? What does everyone see? About 21. Does anybody have any? How about let's do it. You make the call. What does anybody see on this video? Anybody chime in? Anybody?
The
Gonna
guy
be
doing
honest,
the
it's a little
pick.
choppy, so it's hard. It's hard to actually tell. It looks like the frame skips a little bit when you're playing it.
Let's
So it
try
goes
one more.
from moving, standing still, moving, but it's hard to see the continuity of it. Maybe
Sure.
somebody else to get a better feed that they can see it.
Yeah, it looked like the guy doing the pick like stepped out and leaned into him.
Yep.
Yeah, and he knew he was guilty because he actually tapped himself on the helmet.
Yep. So that's the there was an advantage gained by blue over white because 21, instead of just standing still, leaned in. He also snuck his stick out a little bit. Okay. But what's interesting is we'll play this through one more time. Okay. One thing is 17 has the ball here, whistle's blown, kind of rolls the ball away. Like, this is one of the times when, if that player rolls that ball a little bit more away from where the restart's going to be, so essentially delaying the game a little bit, that's a good time to warn that player. Drop the ball on the whistle. Okay. I mean, you don't have to be like, again, that is not one of the technical fouls that you're strictly enforcing, right? But you want to set the tone. Hey, 17, just drop the ball when that whistle blows. Okay. And same with 44. You see, what does 44 do? Picks up the ball right away, starts moving forward, waiting for the restart, right? So he can get the advantage. Again, the impetus, the responsibility is on the officials to make sure they're ready for the restart, and then the game restarts. You have to make sure your partner is ready for a restart if you're the official who's restarting the game. You have to make sure. Okay? You should not be restarting a game if your partner official is not ready for that restart. Randy, do you have anything to add?
No, and that goes back to what I said about the quick restarts earlier. Guys, don't restart. I don't care who's yelling at you. Don't restart until you know your partner is ready or partners, because bad stuff will happen if you just fire it up thinking, oh, I got to give them a fast restart.
Yeah. So again, what we're looking for here is 21 sets the pick. He's leaning in. His feet actually splay out a little bit, and his stick's not within his shoulder when he's making contact, and he kind of also knees him a little bit. So, I mean, that's a bang bang play, but you can tell right away that the pick is not stable, stationary, and within shoulder width. Does anybody have any questions on that? Zapruder film video. It's pretty grainy on my end too, just so you guys know.
And another thing too, guys, if you don't feel this particular play is an illegal screen, you could have called interference.
Yeah.
Yep. And that would be your safest bet, because then you don't have to explain anything. It's just interference. We're moving on.
Yep. Great. Okay, illegal contact. So these are very common at the youth level, just as they are at the high school level. Okay. So you have holding calls when the team that's offended has possession of the ball or whether there's no possession of the ball. Okay. So possession, it's a simple disadvantage advantage. Okay. Advantage, disadvantage, whether you as the official are perceiving the hold when the player has possession of the ball as maybe equal pressure or at least not a disadvantage to team blue. Okay, the team with the ball. With a loose ball, it's more like, getting the ball off the ground and it's a control call. A control call. All right. Is there a loose ball hold that's putting a team at a disadvantage? Okay. Then if it's a loose ball, that's going to be a play on situation. Play on situation. Okay. Now, here comes the great equalizer at youth lacrosse. Kids at this age from 9 to 14 are going to be various sizes and strength and certainly heights. Okay. So you might have a 6'3" kid at 14U going up against a kid who's like 5'6". Okay. Advantage, disadvantage applies to whether either of the players is being disadvantaged. So a 6'3", 14-year-old might, have X amount of pressure that can be applied to them before they're at a disadvantage. But that 5'6", 85-pound attackman, right, has their own level of pressure that can be put on them before they're at a disadvantage. The impetus is on the larger player to determine, how am I going to say this differently? Advantage, disadvantage assessed by officials is specific to the player in this case, right? So a 6'3" player say, "Hey, I'm barely touching him, but he fell over." Yeah, you're putting that player at a disadvantage. You have to determine whether it's advantage, disadvantage situation. Okay. And a lot of times you'll see a larger player, thinking he's playing with equal contact and not gaining an advantage. But in actuality, he's so much larger that he's putting the smaller player at a disadvantage. You're calling the game fairly for both players, which means both players' perspectives and abilities are going to factor in. So size, typically size is a huge advantage, right? As you get older, but at the youth level, you have to play within the confines of the rules. And certainly on holding penalties, on illegal contact penalties, you have to call the game for the smallest player and the largest player. Okay. I know that's a lot of kind of word salad, but it's important that you know that advantage, disadvantage can look differently depending on the size and skill of the player.
And you're right, Jeremy. And guys, this particular photo here, you're going to see that probably 6 times in any game. And then you're going to go, "Oh my God, he's holding. Oh, wait, the blue player just ran right through it." And so then you're going, "Okay, well, there was no disadvantage." And so what I have done in the past, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and you don't have to do the same thing. The bigger guys that are going to end up with penalties and that, I go and tell them, I go, "I hate to tell you this, but because of your size, you're going to get penalized more than anybody else. Even though you're not doing anything wrong, it's just the optics of how you're doing it." And so, and then explain it to the coach too. Say, "Hey, he's a big guy. He's got that this look, and this is what it's going to be because he's always going to beat the little dude to the ball. And if they get to the ball at the exact same time, the big dude is always going to win that battle, even though there's nothing wrong with the call." So don't, as Jeremy was saying, don't necessarily just give the littler player the advantage of a flag or a turnover or whatnot. Judge it, what you see. Was there truly an advantage or disadvantage? Is that fair enough, Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here you're seeing, at the youth level specifically, once you start to see this defensive player trying to do this hold at the youth level, you're also looking for head and neck contact because younger guys are not necessarily strong enough to control a long stick. So at the 12U level where you have long sticks, you're going to see somebody maybe try to do a hold, but accidentally hit the kid in the head, right? So that's a different call altogether, right? But anything around the head and neck at the youth level specifically, and certainly in high school, you're more laser focused in, even if possible, because that's one of the big points of emphasis about lacrosse is head and neck contact. There are instances where a kid will get hit in the head violently and it's not a penalty. Okay.
Oh my God, you're kidding me. Helmet isn't a penalty?
Yeah. We see this every year. In fact, follow through from a shot or pass. Okay. Picking up a ground ball, having your head down, going down to scoop that ball, coming up, hitting another kid in the helmet. That's not a penalty. Natural follow through from a shot or pass where a kid gets cranked in the head and the helmet. It's brutal. Don't get me wrong. It can look brutal, but it's not a penalty. And this is where, when that happens, if you walked up to the field in flip flops and aviators and an untucked shirt, and you've been half assing it, you haven't been running, your shirt's untucked, you're wearing an Under Armour hat, and you might know the rules and you know that that's not a penalty, everyone's going to be on you even more because you have not set a professionalism tone. You haven't instilled confidence in the coaches, players, and fans that your knowledge of the game is high enough where you can be the only person at that field who is 100% sure that's not a penalty. Okay. And for everyone else to believe you. Right. That's one of the reasons why we say from the second you get out of your car and start walking to the field, everything is professional and you are instilling confidence in everyone. So when a kid gets it in the helmet from another kid scooping the ball, this will happen at 10, 12, and sometimes 14U. Cranks a kid in the helmet, blood everywhere. That's not a penalty. That's a natural, unfortunate consequence of lacrosse, right? Natural follow through from passing and shooting, hitting a helmet. God forbid the kid it gets injured, right? That's still not a penalty. But avoidable head and neck contact is going to be a penalty. What I mean by that is cross checks to the head, slashes to the head, like all the personal fouls that we'll go over again. And these are bang, bang, bang plays. And the way in which you get to the point where you're a good official who can control a game, make it safe and fair, is that muscle memory of doing as many games as you can. There is no elixir that can make up for experience. There isn't, right? And you being sponges to your partner during the game, knowing what they're looking for, taking field training as serious as you possibly can by always trying to get better, always ask questions of your trainers. That's the way you get better. That's the way you can make those bang, bang plays. That's the way lacrosse officiating is fun and you make money doing it. Okay. So long story short, again, in the context of disadvantage, advantage on these technical fouls, a lot of them outside of line calls are going to be your judgment. And you having set the tone for that game, allows coaches to accept your judgment, allows the players to accept your judgment, allows the fans to accept your judgment without these long debates and drawn out complaints and making the tenor, making the atmosphere of the game enjoyable for everyone. Randy, you have anything good?
No, I mean that's good. I mean, it is fun to officiate, guys. I mean, and when it really is. I mean,
It
I know
is.
we always talk about the dark side of it, but it really is fun to officiate a game.
Yeah.
And in going back to something that Matt and you had said earlier, you know, if I come from a college game or a high school game or something, and I'm working with a partner who's a youth official, I'm pretty much going to be leaning on them to make the game go accordingly, right? Because my brain's probably still programmed at a higher level. So it's not just, you guys take a field, oh, well, this guy's got 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is. You're my partner, period. You have the same stripes, the same whistle, and the same flags. And
Yep.
it's we're a team. We're gonna get the zeros together. And I may have to lean on you heavily to say, hey, no, I think you were, and you have to have the chutzpah to tell let's say, senior officials that we got it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that we should also just talk about briefly when we're talking about, judgment and everything is for you kids who are in high school who are officiating lacrosse and still playing. At no time you are going to be partnered officiating games with officials who officiate your games. At no time are you going to be complaining about calls during one of your games that you played that maybe the official was doing, or ask the partner you're officiating at who also does high school games, like, oh, this guy, what would you do in this case because this guy called X, Y, and Z, right? Don't do that. Okay. That's one of the worst things that we sometimes hear is, high school aged officials who are still holding a grudge about their high school game officiating. You got to let it go. And don't text your assigners. Like, I have a hypothetical after one of your games. I have a hypothetical question about goalies coming out and hitting somebody because, they'll be like, okay, so this is what you call. And then, you text back as a high school age official, well, that wasn't called my game. Well, great. Show me the film, show me everything. The officiating partner you have is your teammate for that day. Okay. So hopefully when you're playing in your games now, you have a new respect for the officials who are doing your games. Okay. And you can help explain to your teammates who don't play or don't officiate, like what, they're potentially looking at. Okay. So you could be a good liaison to help make high school lacrosse even more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of those texts you get a year, Randy. I usually get about 5.
Oh, I get a lot. And then I always go look at the crew that was on the game just to make sure I have their back, because I don't want, like you said, I don't want a blindsided question and say, well, I would have called it like this.
Yeah.
So talking to the people who were actually doing the game and say, hey, I got this. So, what can you tell me?
Yep.
Because it's sometimes it's positioning. What do you see? What do you not see?
Yep.
It's easy to say, it was a bad call or a non-call or whatever, but unless you're on the field as an official, I don't know what's going on. Was a player yelling at me? Let's say I was on the field. Was somebody yelling at me, sir? Whatever it is, and I'm distracted for that split second. And so,
Yep.
Yeah, it's take what you know as an official and apply it to your teammates. And like Jeremy said, what I do, especially at the college level, as fast as I can in every game, I make the goalie my ally.
Yeah.
It as fast as I can in game, because I always say, you want to play a man down today? No? Okay, here's what I need you to do for me. And
Great
I
point.
guarantee you, they will do it.
Yep.
Talk to their long poles. They will do all those things.
Yep. It's a great point, Randy. Okay, so here's a video of some holds. So let's take a look at this very grainy video footage. Compliments of USA Lacrosse.
In this clip, White has the ball and he's dodging to the goal when he's held
Okay.
by red long stick defense.
So that is a pretty obvious call, right, everyone? You can see a hold that's caused White to be at a disadvantage.
30 seconds.
Yeah, but his helmet didn't come off. Is it really a disadvantage?
Right. So here you can see the contact's coming up high. So it's getting close to head and neck. Here you can see a clear disadvantage to the White player. Okay. So White is clearly disadvantaged by the actions of red, burgundy. Easy flag for 30 seconds. This is getting real close to the neck, Randy.
Yes,
What do you
it's
think?
getting really close.
So, I mean, at the youth level, 1 second. At the youth level, that's really close to head and neck contact, and I might actually escalate that call to probably, gosh, anything unnecessary roughness or what else can we call there, Randy?
I'll say, well, definitely you had the hold. You could say indirect head contact, minute locked
Indirect.
in.
Yep.
And the reason is that for that, guys, is you want to set the tone, like Jeremy was saying. We don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're going to see in every youth game, one attackman is going to try his damnedest to get to the net through 3 long poles, and he's going to get hit in the helmet 6 times getting there. And it was like Jeremy was saying before, that's not a penalty. You decided to run into the fire, my friend.
Yeah.
Like, we can't bail you out.
Yep.
And so,
yeah. And that's one of those times where let's watch this clip and see.
Yeah.
So we have White disadvantaged. Okay. Like
Defender's stick comes up and around the White player's neck and disadvantages him finishing the shot.
So one of these things with advantage, disadvantage too is, a lot of times you'll see this in tired players or towards the end of a game when the feet aren't matching the brain, right? Like that was an easy shuffle, get in position to, essentially maintain Red's position between him and the goal in front of White. But because the feet didn't move, right? The stick moved and the pull down. That's a clean disadvantage. Clean disadvantage. That's an easy hold call. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Jeremy, you might have hit something that which is completely true, and I never even thought to tell people. When you see a player's feet stop, you know there's going to be a hold or a slash or something.
Yeah.
And guys, you got to pick that signal up. Boom. Okay. He quit moving, so his only recourse is to hold or slash this guy.
Yeah. He loses the stalemate. Like when you stop moving your feet and somebody's running and they get past you, there's an advantage by the person who got past you. The only way to lessen that advantage is to move your feet, get in front of them, or legally check a stick. And what we see time and time again, specifically at the youth level, and I'm sure it happens at the college level, is defenders get beat, their feet and their minds don't work, are not in sync, or they're slow. So White has the advantage because they're faster, they're in better position. The recourse is mostly going to be a out of control attempt to regain control by the defense. And 9 times out of 10, in my experience, that's going to be a slash. It's going to be a hold. It's going to be a push from behind. It's going to be some kind of illegal contact. So it's either going to be a personal or a technical foul, depending on what they do. Unless you just let them blow right by them, which is, happens to at the youth level a lot. Or kids will fall down, just magically, turf monsters. But these are pretty clear examples of holds. What we'll start to see during field training and in your games, they might not be this blatant. They won't be this blatant. Okay. There was when I played defense, there was always the long John flip, which is like both players fall down after you pin the guy's stick to his chest. So you're essentially shoulder to shoulder, and then both guys fall down. But it's really you pulling your stick and then sliding your foot behind the offensive player's heel. So then they trip on you like a pratfall. So these are things that you'll see during your officiating careers. Just call them out. In that case, when you report that penalty to the bench, the coach is like, that's not a hold. He fell on himself. He fell by himself. That's when you say, sir, this is what I saw. This is my call. That's the way it stands. Okay. If you have any problems, please reach out to my assigner after the game. That's the way that you get confidence. You give confidence as an official. So, yeah, we already saw that one. Let's see. Pushing, possession versus no possession. Again, this is a nuanced call. So you're looking at advantage, disadvantage. Sometimes a no call is okay if the player who's being pushed is not losing an advantage. He's still running ahead. He still has the ball. There's no advantage gained. Then sometimes that push from behind is okay. When it's not okay is when there's a loose ball, because a loose ball means there's a potential play on situation. And if you do not call loose ball push from behinds, then those are the penalties that start to escalate. Tension increases, players get pissed, and they start acting out. Okay. Loose ball push from behind is one of the calls. It's a technical foul. And in a play on situation, if you don't handle these calls properly, those are the ones that end up escalating into, illegal body checks or, God forbid, fighting and ejections. Okay. Those are the ones that, you have to consistently call throughout the game. Okay. Consistently call throughout the game. Okay. And it's usually, somebody will say when somebody gets pushed from behind, the coach or the other player will yell, it was from the side. It was from the side, right? If the contact is on the giant numbers, then it's not from the side. Okay, the big numbers in the back. That's not from the side. That's from behind. Okay. From the side, the shoulders of both players should be in line. The shoulders from both players should be in line for it to be on the side, or certainly in the front. You can push from the front. Okay. But that push has to be such that there isn't a significant advantage gained from just the push. Okay. Okay. That's normal lacrosse playing, is jockeying for position on a loose ball and playing position defense, which means you're touching the other player on the defensive side at all ages, whether it be 10, 12, 14, high school, JV, it doesn't matter. There's contact. It's a contact sport. And it's a contact sport with a hard rubber ball. So, there's it takes a certain kid to play lacrosse, and it also takes a certain coach to be able to coach lacrosse well. Okay. Both of those things are not guaranteed to be at a game that you officiate. What is guaranteed to be at the game is a well-trained official who knows the rules, knows where they should be, and is USA Lacrosse certified. And that's going to be you. Okay. So here's a pushing example. So loose ball, loose ball, loose ball, loose ball. What are you looking for? Okay. Blue gets possession. That's hard for me to even see too. The video like drops down. So as grainy as this is for you, it's equally as grainy for me.
Yeah, it looks like he came up with it, but I
Yep.
don't think he was not able to make that lacrosse move. So it was
Yep.
push.
Yeah. So let's watch this again, but let's stop it. Okay, ball's loose. Okay. Oh, let me see if I can get this. Ball's loose. As an official, when you're looking at this, you're looking for pushes from behind. You're looking for the ball to be picked up. You're looking for any contact with the ball. Okay. You can kick a lacrosse ball. You can kick a lacrosse ball. You cannot kick a lacrosse stick. You cannot kick a lacrosse stick. You can kick the ball. Don't kick sticks. So these are all the things at the youth level you're looking for. This is a high school game, so these guys are more advanced. There's no man ball call, which is fine. But what you're looking for at this point, advantage, disadvantage, you're looking for pushes from behind. You're looking for holding sticks. So sometimes you'll see an offhand, a stick that's not holding the stick, a hand that's not a gloved hand, not holding his own stick, could grab the opponent's stick. You're looking for a ton of stuff here. Being in the proper position, being here to be able to see that play, which means you've had to run over, allows you to see all this stuff. And I promise you, all this stuff will make sense on the field after your 400th game. Okay. So looking good movement, good movement, good movement, right? Guy gets the ball. Let's just keep playing on a loop, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's stuck. Yeah. So I'll stop that because it's annoying. What you're looking for is once that ball's loose, even if there's a little bit of pressure from behind, if on blue, if he's not being disadvantaged, you don't want to stop that play. You just let the blue play out. But if there's a push where he's disadvantaged, you gotta play on. You gotta put your arm up, play on. You don't have to say what the penalty is. You just say play on. Okay. The teams will keep playing until the ball goes out of bounds or either team gains possession. If blue gains possession when there's a play on and blue is offended, once they gain possession and they're now at an advantage, the play on's over. If white picks up the ball after they offended and there was a play on, the play's over, the ball goes to blue. Okay. So these are the kind of bang bang plays you will see at the youth level that you are going to have to make those calls. Okay. Another very common one is interference, this non-goalkeeper interference. So goalies have different privileges. Talk about that. Interference is also a catch-all rule. Okay. A lot of times you'll see in set offense. Okay. So if white has the ball during their offensive end, blue is defending. White will, whatever their offense is, everything's pretty much a run of the motion offense anyway. White will, maybe offense will send a guy, on a diagonal through the crease area, and the defender will kind of get in his way. Sometimes the defender will hold them, sometimes the defender will knock them down. That's going to be an interference call. Okay. Interference call, because when you see a disadvantage to the offensive team like that, that's an easy call to make. Since that's a technical foul, while the offense has possession of the ball and the defense commits that technical foul, it's going to be a flag down, slow whistle. Flag down, slow whistle. Okay. But you can also have interference on a loose ball. In that case, again, it's going to be a play on situation. Okay. Can also be things like more than 5 yards in high school and college lacrosse. Right. 5 for college too, right, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to have contact outside of 5 yards of a loose ball. Like, you're going to have to determine whether that's a big advantage or a disadvantage to either team. Okay. So interference is a big one. This looks like a little bit more than interference. But let's check U.S. Lacrosse's video on interference. Okay, white as a ball. Maroon is on defense. We're looking for more white. Going through the middle. Okay, so 4 white. It's a little grainy here. Okay, this guy has every right to be in the middle of the field. The defensive player is holding a stick, and one time he stick checks his stick out of his hands. Okay, so that is what we're looking for. This is putting the white player at a disadvantage. This is not close to being the most egregious interference call you're going to see. All right, this is pretty tame. This is pretty tame. But once that defensive player literally stick checks the player in white number 4 stick out of his hands when he doesn't have possession of the ball, that's an easy call to make. Randy, you got anything on that one?
No, I mean, that is it. I mean, you see that maybe once a year, but you got to be prepared for it that once per year.
Yeah.
You're just going to see it. There's going to, because you're going to see the jostling ahead of time, and you're going to think, okay, they're just, looking for position. And all of a sudden, the D man is just going to drill that short stick. It's going to be on the ground. And oh, there we go.
Yeah, great point. So you are going to see that penalty. Here's another interference penalty. Let's walk through this. It's red as the ball, white's on defense. Red guy goes to the crease, white guy pushes him in. That is very common. And what's happening is the white player is not, he's probably pretty savvy. He also wants to get red to step on or go into the crease to end possession. Because stepping in the crease as an offensive player, stepping into the crease you're shooting on, touching the line or stepping in the crease is going to be a technical foul. Stop, immediate loss of possession of red. Okay, so he tries pushing him into the crease. That's an easy interference call. And, at the youth level, and I believe at most levels, right, Randy? Once you're in the crease, like you're going to stop the play anyway.
Yeah.
So, the play is going to end. It's going to be a 30-second technical foul. Okay. And the crease violation will immediately stop that play on. Okay, so some game management fouls. We have the conduct foul, okay, which is really a way in which you can it's a great foul or call for you to help manage a game, okay? It's a great way to get coaches and players under control. It can be called on a coach, player, or any non-playing player personnel. So other people on the sideline, okay? You cannot call a conduct foul on fans. You cannot call a conduct foul on fans, okay? This is the first level of your available calls to settle a coach down, to settle a player down, to settle somebody on the player's sideline down, okay? So this is a technical foul. This is not unsportsmanlike conduct, which is going to fall into the personal foul realm. This is a conduct foul. It's a way to control. And as a technical foul, the best time to be able to use this call is when an offensive team has possession of the ball. The offensive coach is yelling at you about a call. You can call a conduct foul on the team in possession of the ball. It's a technical foul, so they lose possession. Okay? You can call that conduct foul as a technical foul anytime you want. But the time it seems, from my experience, to resonate the most is when you have a coach who's constantly yelling at you. His team has possession of the ball. He's still saying something about a call. Use that conduct foul. Randy, what do you got?
No, it is. I mean, that is the fastest way to say, Coach, I've heard enough of it and we're done. I'm just taking the ball away from you. Now, if they can't if they can't figure it out from there, then the next one is a flag conduct foul.
Yeah.
And then after that, it would go to unsportsmanlike which you hope wouldn't happen at the youth level, but it does happen on occasion.
Right. It does happen. So you have to be, prepared to use that penalty, the conduct call on a coach. And if after the first quarter, if you feel like the coaches are already on you, complaining about calls all the time, you can give them a warning at the quarter break. But you and your partner have to know the next time that play is stopped because you can't control yourself as a coach is going to be a conduct foul. Now, if a coach breaks a golden rule and swears or gets super loud and angry, you do not have to go first to a conduct foul.
Correct. Yeah, if you hear any type of cursing, that's automatically unsportsmanlike. That one's over.
You can go right to that unsportsmanlike conduct call, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and end that hopefully discussion. Now, after 2 unsportsmanlike conducts, you're ejected as a player, coach, or game personnel.
Now, the only problem, guys, is, and I'm not saying you got to be completely tolerant, is if you go right to unsportsmanlike, you can't go backwards on that.
Right.
So the next one can't be conduct. If they do something again that is unsportsmanlike, it's another one. You could be as punishment wise as you want. You could make it 3 minutes and the ejection, but regardless, that coach is going to be ejected. So you can pick your minutes from there. I'll leave it up to you. But after, let's say, and going back to the assistant coaches, if you have to flag an assistant coach for unsportsmanlike, not conduct, unsportsmanlike, you have to let the head coach know that all bench penalties are on him.
Yeah.
So the next minute or more serving penalty on that team, he's gone.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not saying don't shy from throwing the flags, but make sure that the head coach knows every bench penalty is their penalty, regardless if it was them or not. Hopefully you never have to get to that point, but it does happen on occasion. I know Don and Matt are really good at conduct fouls, and setting the tone. I tend to be a little bit more lenient because that's just who I am. And as long as, they don't come out and kick me in the shin, I'll let it go. But, but you're not there to get yelled at by anybody. You're there to, as Jeremy stated earlier, a fair and safe game. That's what you're there for.
Yeah, and to Randy's point, this conduct foul, this technical foul, is a way to de-escalate if you use it properly. Sometimes that is out of your control, and a coach is out of control. Then the de-escalation, unfortunately, is what Randy was saying, the unsportsmanlike conduct. And just one point real quick on this is during our pregame, we certify both teams. And that certification says they will have a USA Lacrosse certified coach, a coach who's, can attest to that. That's one of the things we do during pregame that we talk about at on-field training. That coach gets disqualified, there better be a second certified coach on that side. And that is not your job to police. When a coach attests to his team being he and his coaches and team being properly trained and equipped, that says that there is going to be a USA Lacrosse certified coach on the sideline. So,
yep, and if you get to that point that there isn't, the contest is over.
Yeah. So if there's only one coach and he gets a second unsportsmanlike, or you have to throw him out for any other reason, the game can't continue. A parent can't come running off the sidelines. Hey, I'll coach. No. Can't do that. Can't do that.
And hopefully, I mean, it's very few and far between youth coaches in the state of Wisconsin getting ejected from a game. And as an official, whether you're in high school or an adult, just say, Coach, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you in this game so your players can play.
Yep.
And then put the onus on them to behave better.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the kids are ready to play. It's the coaches that get in the way.
Yep, 100%. So, moving on to stalling. Before we do that, the code phrase for today's training is Vikings still stink. Vikings still stink is what you have to email your assigner to get credit for today's session. Vikings still stink. Okay. So
Very good one. Very good one.
Well, I was going to change it to.
I knew where you were going. I was waiting for it.
I'm going to do that when you're not here next week. Wait for it. So stalling is another technical foul. Okay. This is not relevant to 10U lacrosse, but for 12 and 14U, where score is kept and their advancement counts, stalling rules apply. Okay. Advancement counts is what we'll talk about. 20-second, 10-second, and 4-second counts for goalies, for a defensive team to get the ball over midfield, 20 seconds, 10 seconds to get a touch in the offensive zone. And goalies have 4 seconds to have possess the ball inside the crease. Okay. These, you have to make sure that you're comfortable with stalling calls and you understand them. And we'll go over them in greater detail, field training, and also in next week. But how do you determine whether a team is stalling or just meticulously trying to run their offense? It's not easy, honestly. And typically you can easily see some stallings by they'll do like a 4-2 box where they'll just pass it to the corners of the field. They'll make no attempt at going towards the crease. So no scoring attempts, right? But I mean, at the 14U level, there aren't as many competitive games as you would imagine where the score is within 4 goals, right? But if the game is within 4 goals or less, then the offensive team, once they satisfy their counts, they get it over midfield in 20 seconds, get a touch into the box at 10 seconds. In the last 2 minutes of the game, there really is that kind of impetus on them to not stall, but keep playing lacrosse. And really, this is something your officiating partner can talk about, like whether 60 seconds is like, you give them about 60 seconds, you give them 90 seconds, give them 45 seconds to make either an attempt to the goal or a shot on the goal, really. Randy, how do you adjudicate stalling at the youth level?
Yeah. Well, for the most part, at youth, they're not really quite attuned to know how to do the stall properly. If it looks like they're gonna, in fact, I wish they'd take out that whole stalling thing on the 4 goals or less thing, because all that does is create mayhem in the box at the high school on down. I'll just tell them, I said, I need a possession shot. I need something. Just fake it if you have to, and make it look like you're going to go to the, you're making an attempt to score. Because once they're in the box, guys, the 4 goals or less, they gotta remain in the box. But if they're outside, now it could be great defense, that's preventing them from doing that. But if it was great defense, then they wouldn't be down by 4 goals either, right? So, or more. I just tell them I need some type of thrust to the net, and I usually go about 40 seconds, and then I'll just, if I haven't seen anything, I'll just we're going the other way.
Yeah. And honestly, as to Randy's point, a very few youth teams can hold the ball for 40 seconds
Right.
inside the restraining area. And again, the restraining area is that area on the line and the offensive end between midfield and goal line. Okay. That's where your offensive players are and defensive players are restrained on the face-off. And that's not a huge area. It's not a huge area. And at the youth level, those passes to really keep possession that you need are, 30-yard passes to stretch out the defense. And that's not something most youth teams can do without the ball exiting the restraining area. So it's hard. And like Randy mentioned, I think the perfect word for stalling in the last 2 minutes of the game is mayhem. A lot of people are running, everyone's yelling, coaches are yelling, double the ball, kids don't know how to double team anyway. So they're, it's that's why you being in the right spot, you understanding the rules, you knowing what to look for is so paramount because everything else is kind of mayhem. All right, so that does it for the technical foul section of our lesson. I think that's also going to do it for today's session since it's 3:26. So next week, guys, you have homework. Get your USA Lacrosse membership straightened out. Okay. Email your assigners the code phrase. Okay. Vikings still stink. Yeah, it should be forever too. Get a line on your uniform. Don worked hard to get that starter set established. The link is in the chat. The link's also on the WILOA website. Okay. Very, very, very important that you realize a lot of the officiating stuff, if you order it from online partners, will be sold out or it won't be in your size or, it just won't be able to be delivered before field training. So please get on that now. It's not that much money compared to how much you could potentially make if you really invest your time and effort into officiating, which again helps not just yourself and is not just great for you, but it really, really, really helps lacrosse players in the state to have the best officials that they can have, because frankly, they're not going to have the best coaches in some instances. So their experience is really enhanced by having a fair and safe environment to learn the game. Okay. So next week, personal fouls, mechanics. We'll also go over arbiter. Okay. And then after next week, you guys should be able to access and complete your USA Lacrosse requirements, professional development, a rules video, and the rules exam for youth. Okay. All of that requirements, watching, these training videos from WILOA and the training stuff and requirements for USA Lacrosse should be done by April 1. April 1. You should be, letting your assigner know that you're ready to go. I then will certify you in USA Lacrosse database after your field training, and you will start getting assignments. Okay. You will start getting assignments for Saturdays and Sundays. And one last thing before I let you go. If Randy, Mara, Matt reach out to any of you guys about games, those are certified assigners. If they're reaching out to you about games, they've checked with your local assigner. So please, if Randy needs you in Milwaukee and you're not scheduled in Madison, make it your best effort to get out there to help, because we're all of us in the state really need to help each other out because we're real spread out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, you have anything to final?
No, that's perfect. Yes, gentlemen, that is it. I mean, once you're certified, you are a certified official. You're not a certified Madison official. You're not a certified Milwaukee official. You're not a certified Bay Valley official. You are a certified official. And, and Jeremy alluded to this earlier. The more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of this. And I can tell you there are some officials here in the state of Wisconsin who started out in your shoes who are now doing college and D1 games because they put into it, and they made a lot of money doing it too.
Yeah.
And so when you get yourself in a position that you are a trusted official by your assigners, the tournament people come to us and say, "Hey, can you give us some names?" And then we go with those who have done their homework to become better officials and do the games and whatnot. And I know I'll just use my son Nick as an example. Made usually about between $4,500 and $5,500 a summer while he was in college doing tournaments, and that was, I'll say, beer money the next school year.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean that's you're 100% right, Randy. Matt, you have anything that or Mara?
You're getting warmer.
As far as resources and everything, there are links on the WILOA webpage that they can go to. They should have stuff about, I think I have youth rules up there. There's the mechanics manual, there's the 2-man manual, there's the 3-person manual. There's a whole bunch of stuff up there. I'm going to try to keep it updated, but I mean, if you want to learn more, know more, there's resources available.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Jeremy covered a lot. One thing that'll help next week when we go through mechanics is understanding Jeremy hit on it briefly today. That's one of the most important things. I think as an official, it gives you time to think, figure out what you're going to call. Some of those things we went through, interference, loose ball stuff, some of that stuff is pretty complex. And so an extra 3-4 seconds to come up with an explanation for what you're going to call can really, really help. So if you're going to think about anything, think about that plan. That's one that you're going to see new officials kind of struggle. Other point, tell your friends. It's not too late to sign up to get official. We like today's training. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be posted on the website. So still, in practice, on the group chat, tell your friends. There's money to be made. There's games to be assigned. Watch the recording. Get Jeremy, get me, get Matt, your email addresses. And let's get your friends signed up too. It's a great way to make money.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the weather. Please reach out if you have any questions. What?
Jeremy, as always, well done.
No. Thank you, Randy. Great job.